Hello everyone, we're back. Episode 9. Pariahs. Yes, I didn't forget the name of our campaign for the last year and a half. Oh man. Yeah, how is everyone today? I hope I find everyone in good spirits, good health, and just don't does. So, straight off the bat, Lee, can't think of anything funny, but I appreciate your 57-month resub. Cheers, mate. Sneeze, throwing out the giant pickle. Yeti with the 7-month resub. Thank you very much. Taking a lunch break. Yes, I saw earlier, Durs, that you are setting up a new case. Is that correct? New PC case? Alright, I need to just change something very quickly. There we go. Because I've just noticed something. With that,
class into druid, don't you?
Who's a druid?
Jumper's all about. She's just got some blueberry strawberries.
Yeah, for $2.
Bargain.
$2 a piece. It was a bargain. They're normally like 15 to 20 bucks. So,
Well, Jump the Druid. I'm on board. Yeah, welcome in. Episode 9, everyone.
Episode 9.
Hey up, Dorian. How are you?
Doing quite well.
Good. Well, with that said, let's just leap straight into it. Cypher. What do you think?
You were thinking of you tried for something witty and failed miserably.
I did. Yeah, dance for me, monkey. Remind me what happened last week.
All right, so we started where we left off after the meeting with Yon Fuckface, the representative of the Merchants Guild. I can't remember her name.
Director Farida.
Farida, that's the one. She got like, I don't know, 300 meters away and got attacked, and we were like, well, that's gunfire and fucking swords and magic being spelled in the distance. Let's go see what it is. So Reza jumped up on the fucking roofs, and Cypher took a defensive posture behind Dorian, as you do. And off they went to find out that the Morbus Doctori had indeed ambushed them en route. And the gang was like, okay, let's interfere and help. Because it kind of looks bad on us if we call them out for a fucking meeting and they get ambushed, right? That's just bad business.
Yeah. Excuse you, by the way.
Do what I want. So just as we were about to rush in to help him, we rushed straight into the flanking ambush. So it was pretty close quarters, and it kicked off pretty hard. Garrett opening up with his psychic daggers that seemed to do nothing. So he switched to normal physical ones that did even less.
Wow.
It was weird.
Might as well have used a child's foam sword.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a pretty rough battle. I do believe Reza got hurt pretty badly by a magic spell. Yes? No? Okay, cool.
Yeah. No, she did. She did.
Okay. Nice.
Can I just say, like, when that happened, I thought, okay, we all need to leave and try to flee. And I was just waiting. I was waiting for someone to say it because I don't know, at some point I almost just fled.
Is that because you ran in and immediately fucked your fucking roll and then got shot by a musket? Yeah.
Yeah, I was really worried.
Turns out you are squishy.
Point blank musket to the face is, it's not a good look for anyone.
No. But we triumphed after some trials and tribulations. The boss man of that, I don't know if he was the boss of the entire group because he seemed to be in charge and he was more powerful than everyone we came across, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But he turned one of his men into an abomination, which was a pain in the dick. But it's alright because it attacked everything, so I think it actually did more damage to its allies than it did us. That, and it couldn't move very far because it was stuck in the middle of a fucking Legion spell. But we managed to kill everyone. Well, we killed all of them, and Frida managed to finish off the last of the first group. However, she was down to just her guard captain, who was in a shit state. So then there was a slight Mexican standoff before we were like, no, we're not going to kill you, don't we? We're here to help. And she was like, oh, thank God.
Fuck.
Yay. And Garrett was being all nice, and he sewed up the guard captain, gave him a potion. Captain was like, fuck, a greater heal. Where the fuck do you get this?
Mm-hmm.
And then Reza was the mouth that talked to Farida and shook her hand inside of her anti-life shell.
As you do.
As you do.
No, as you're not supposed to do, because that's the whole point of the anti-life shell.
Yeah. Do what I want. So she was, I'm probably guessing at that point, profoundly grateful that it didn't turn into a fight. And she seemed quite thankful, and she was kind of like, yeah, you know what, don't worry about stuff for now. We'll maybe a bit of a hiatus. We'll just end this tit for tat between us for now, because clearly we've got bigger fish to fry.
Fish. Yeah.
So sadly we don't get to fucking become terrorists and blow them up with mail bombs. I'm sorry, Dorian. It's just how it works out sometimes.
I mean, it'll save. There will be an opportunity at some point to blow someone up.
That's fair.
Yeah, we'll add it to the toolkit of things to do. Add it to the bucket list.
80 episodes later.
City's on fire. Well, yeah, we did that.
Circles within
One was
circles.
surprised.
No.
I thought I wasn't supposed to set the city on fire again.
I mean,
There's a time and a place, all right?
Eh?
After that, we meandered, retreated home via the secret ways, because we had not one but two tails, as Garrett found out. Fucking moans. It was a great moment, that, by the way. Garrett following both the tails to find out that one was from the guild and one was from the Doctoria. None of them managed to fucking follow us, and they both realized that they were both following each other, following us. It was a good moment. I enjoyed that.
And one of them got shanked by the other.
Yeah.
Convenient.
Yeah. Welcome to Nova Storia. And then we retreated. We took the super secret passageway back to the under city via the portal, and stopped off to drop off some information. Coroner wasn't that bothered, but he got the piece of information he really wanted, that being the abomination that we killed. He was like, oh, I might get that. None of this other stuff bothers me. I'm out. But the nurse and the botners seemed happy to see us and have a little chit chat, which was nice.
Yeah. I mean, the botanist, doesn't really get many visitors. as long as you don't impose on her for too long, she's pretty happy with it.
Yeah. 20 minutes max. That's it. And cut off.
Yeah. So it's that moment where she slaps her thighs. Right. Stands up. Well, yeah. With that, you all, eventually made your way back to the Folly, the Shadowed Circle, the Undercroft, and took a short rest.
Didn't we jump?
Yes.
And I believe during said short rest, Vanya, what, you regaled them with some sort of tale or action or something of that manner to perhaps lift their spirits, soothe them into slumber. What was it? Paint the scene for us as you all returned to the Shadow Circle.
So she's not gonna let him leave just yet, and they're in the bar area, and she's gonna kind of set them all on a stool. Sit. Like right there. I don't care where you sit. Just sit on the stool. You can't leave just yet.
We're all sitting, Vanya. What do you want?
Now, I know what you're thinking.
No, you don't.
Oh, yes, I do.
Are you thinking, we're all thinking, there's better not be another bloody plague?
That is what I'm thinking, Cypher.
Oh, do you see a stage set up at this moment?
Get on with it, please.
Would anybody like to share what they're thinking right now? This is for me to validate that I know what you're thinking. Are you tired? Do you need rest?
No, but I need to shed my face. I got burnt off by acid. I look like a freaking ghoul.
Rest! You're asking yourself. But I have a million things to do. Right? Trust me. And she holds up both hands, and at some point she has touched Reza's hand and is looking her in the eyes. Trust me, I've been there. And she's gonna pull back. I've pulled all-nighters. I've lived on the herbal teas from Francis and have convinced myself that I could conquer the world with little rest, which I could. I mean, don't get me wrong. And I have. But I do a little bit better with rest. We all do a little better with rest. So the truth is, and she's going to put a finger over Cypher's lips, rest isn't just a luxury. Oh no, Cypher. It's a necessity. She's going to lift it off his lips. It's like recharging your body for the next day. You can't expect it to work at full capacity if you, she points at Dorian, if you don't give it love and attention.
Oh, Dorian's not there.
You just see the door. He's gone.
She's then gonna point her finger at Garrett. If you don't give it love and attention, by taking care of yourselves, and she's gonna hug herself so that they see, this is how you take care of yourself. You're not just strengthening yourselves. Oh no, you're strengthening our bond. When you're rested and recharged, we're better able to support each other. Lift each other up, and most importantly, tolerate one another. So let's make a pact tonight. Let's prioritize rest, celebrate successes, and bathe often. You all may go.
Before we go, you wouldn't want Garrett to look at that bullet wound that you've been hiding, would you?
Oh, Garrett, you wouldn't mind, would you?
Oh, but I'm all set to rest now.
We strengthen our bond by helping one another.
I feel I'd be strengthened more by resting, but yes, go on then. Let's have a look.
He's gonna show him. It's in this area right here where the blood is.
Roll me a medicine check. DC 10. 10 or more, you can give Vanya, let's say, 1d4 plus 2 additional healing.
Just.
Hello.
So, yeah, 1d4 plus 2, and then, yeah, carry on.
Now, this is going to hurt, but that ball gotta come out.
Like, you're gonna... Are you using your fingers?
Of course I'm not using my fingers. I've all these lovely instruments in there.
Are they sanitized? Are they clean? Are you gonna numb me?
Or I could leave it in and you could die screaming in agony.
You want me to hold her down, Garrett?
Wait. Do you not have anything to numb it? Is there anything to bite down?
Just drink some of this.
On?
And I give her a small vial of bloodshot.
Vanya, do you drink it?
Yeah, she's gonna drink it. Because she's nervous.
I'm going to need you to roll me a Constitution saving throw, please. A 16 is pretty good. It's pretty good. You are not completely out of it, but Bloodshot is an incredibly strong and interesting concoction. What effects does Bloodshot have on you, Vanya?
She's gonna instantly go kind of droopy and slurry, and like where she has just a little bit of saliva just running down like the left corner of her lip, and she's gonna become very if she's standing right now, just kind of like needing support. So she's just gonna be leaning on Garrett and just be like, "It's now or never."
Okay, Reza, Cypher, if you just hold her still for me on this table.
Okay.
All right.
It's not difficult to hold Vanya down. She is, at the moment, the best description would be ooze-like inconsistency. You know, she just flops around like a rag
Dead
doll.
weight.
Luckily, the ball's not too deep, so with a pair of sort of forcibly type affairs and a little blade action, I managed to pop the ball out, heat it up with some herbs, and wrap it in one of the healing bandages we have.
Thank you, Garrett. Thank you. Just leave me here. Just leave me here.
Scar!
From the back of the room, you just hear Alistair just call, "You can't leave that there."
Cypher will show up the Scar.
From his corner, you just hear this grunting as the Dragonborn looks up from the book he's reading.
Yes, you called.
Can you get this one to bed?
with the monocle, he takes it off from the side of his eye, puts it on the desk in front of him, closes his book up whilst turning the corner of the page ever so gingerly with his claws, and just begins to stomp over towards you. He looks down at Vanya.
Been out drinking tonight, all you. Yes?
And the tapestry of fate, you hold the thread that weaves your tales of triumph.
Not drink, drugs, I see.
Yes.
I will take her upstairs.
Skarn just reaches down, grabs Vanya. I would imagine Skarn could probably almost fit his entire hand around Vanya's waist with her being quite small.
Did you carry her like that?
And just yeah, grab her by the waist, hoist her up, drop her on his shoulder, and just begin to storm out of the shadow circle. You hit the footsteps down the corridor as he gets towards the stairwell up to the basement. So yeah, Vanya, for tonight you are sleeping upstairs in a comfortable bed. Well, not as comfy as yours, but you don't care. You don't know. You're off your face.
Yes, you won't know the difference, yeah.
Well, with that, unless there's anything anyone else is wishing to do whilst back at the Folly, now's the time to speak up. Otherwise, it's a short rest till the morning.
No, should we retire to the forward room and have a little snooze?
Cypher will watch Garrett have a snooze like a creeper.
What you'll see is Garrett start leaning back in his chair, and then all of a sudden Vine comes down, lifts him up, and a load more shoot out the ceiling and becomes like a big hammock hanging from the ceiling.
It's a novel way to sleep.
Reza?
While
Oh, no, go on, Cypher, Karen.
While I'm there, Cypher is going to take off his phylactery and hand it to a Vine on Elias and say, could you do me a favour and look after that for a day or two?
Okay. No problems at all, as you see this vine with a ring on it just start pulling itself into the ceiling of the throne room. The room creaks briefly for a moment in acknowledgement before the vine and the ring just disappear into the writhing mass. That is Elias. Reza, anything you're doing, or are you heading down and resting?
Yeah, she's gonna go to her cozy, comfy quarters in the Undercroft and have an actual rest for a change.
All right. Dorian.
Dorian has already headed back to the Undercroft to put away his gear, and then he's going to go upstairs and retire above the Folly.
No worries.
Just getting it done. He needs to rest.
All good. All right. Excuse me. So, with that said and done then, you all retire for the evening. Rest up until the next morrow. Today is, if I recall correctly, somewhat of a big day. Or potentially big day, for better or for worse. Why is that, folks?
We're going to
Meeting
talk.
Countess Vopescu.
Yeah.
In the city proper as well.
Absolutely.
But we have to visit Jacqueline first.
Yeah, basically. Jacqueline is the individual who's arranged some form of transportation. Because as you all know, you can't just walk into the city proper without making some sort of impact. There's certain standards that need to be met, or at least upheld, for you to blend in with those who come from the upper districts. As you all begin to awaken, gather your necessities, the clothing that has been delivered. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna throw it to you all. What's your new attire like? Because bear in mind, you ordered some from Jacqueline, so that you were a little more prim and proper for today's event.
Cypher is wearing like black silken robe. It's got like a pattern on it, so it's like a two-tone silk robe with intricate like magical patterns in the pattern with a crushed velvet purple cape.
Nice. All right. Rest of you.
Garrett is
Go on,
wearing a very sleek sort of suit affair, high collared, all in black. The shirt beneath is a biting ice blue, and a sort of ascot-y type affair around his neck. It's just pure white. And going down the jacket itself, there's just the slight hint of embroidery around the collar of blackthorns, and the few buttons are inscribed with a snowflake.
Very posh, very posh. Vanya.
So Vanya has a floor-length dress that's also a long sleeve. That is the underneath would be a silk yellow, but over the top of it is lace, and her collar is kind of a it would match a little bit. It's more of a what would you call it? A cream colored fur on the collar, and then on the bottom of her dress has that same cream colored fur with a giant yellow bow on the chest. A silk yellow bow to kind of match the underneath of the dress.
Nice. Reza.
Reza was planning to head to Jacqueline's earlier than everybody else and dress there, and also have Jacqueline help her do her hair and makeup.
Okay, so you're not there at the minute. Perfect. That's fine.
Correct.
We'll come back to you later on then. Dorian.
Yes. Dorian has gotten a long coat. It's a very dark, deep blue color with some accents, like a little bit of patterning, like not quite paisley pattern, just stitches and thread. Beneath that is a lighter vest, and underneath all that is a cream-colored shirt, and he has trousers to match the jacket, and as well as dark brown boots and gloves to go with the entire ensemble.
Awesome. So, overall, the four of you look like the aristocracy. Not to the point of, walking out of high seat districts, but certainly noticeable.
We're going to turn some heads
You
on
are
the way out of lower
certainly
streets.
going to turn some heads. Yes. You would all notice that Reza is missing, but no doubt all be under the assumption that she'll be meeting you at Jacqueline's shop in Coinflow. As you all begin to gather your belongings, is there anything in particular anyone wishes to either leave behind or specifically make note to take?
I'm wearing my boots of the Silent Courier
Okay.
because they are flashy AF anyway. And I've got, as always, I've got a little bottle of Bloodshot stashed away in a inside pocket,
Okay.
just in case I need it. I've got some. I got some splashing cash because you never know.
That is true. You never know.
And I've got a few things just dotted around my person. I've got a protection rune, the loud coin, key of mimicry. Just in case.
Okay.
And just in one of my pockets, I've got a little bag of ball bearings, just in case.
Excellent. Anybody else have anything they wish to mention that they're bringing along with them? Because bear in mind, I believe Reza's got the bag of holding.
Cypher will be wearing his focusing crystal as a glass eye, but he'll have his eye shut the entire time. And he will have a certain other eye-shaped item just in a coin, what looks like a coin pouch.
Okay.
That's it.
Vanya's made sure to bring her listening cone, just in case if she needs to listen through a door. Something.
Well, Dorian, of course, can't wear his armor and everything along with everything, so that's going to be left back along with the morgue slab. It's probably also best for him not to try to bring his flail, so he's got that. He's gone down to just the rings. He's gonna, because they're a little bit conspicuous, he's gonna take the gauntlets of strength off and leave them with his armor.
Okay.
And so basically he's got the ring of spell storing, the brooch of shielding. He's gonna bring the sticky tape. And he still has a holdout ring.
Yep. Oh, the holdout rings.
And he's gonna bring the decanter of endless water too.
Okay. So with that, you all make your way out of the confines of the Shadowed Circle. As an educated guess, I would probably say that you go through the back entrance so that you're not parading through the main doors of the Folly. But correct me if I'm wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, on the main street leading into Market Row, all of a sudden the four of you step out onto the cobbles. Various vendors and merchants who are moving their goods to and fro just stop as the splash of colour, the finery, something very, very rarely seen in this part of the city, comes into view. Some would talk. You would no doubt overhear as you make your way down Market Row, some saying that you look similar to the fine clothing from the folks of the Merchant Guild who passed through a day or so ago. But the crowds do part for you. No hands try to grasp out. the occasional person who thinks they may get lucky, who rest a hand on their dagger at their sides, is just pulled off out of the way by others who either know who you are, that of the Shadow Guard, the Shadow Circle, or people pull them aside knowing that, people in those sort of clothes, you do not mess with.
It's just not worth it, man.
It's
It's not worth it.
Yeah. So there is almost like a Red Sea effect as you're walking down Market Row, as the people in front of you part before merging back in behind you, and eventually you reach the gate into the Coinflow district. And before you've even got within shouting distance of the wardens, you would probably hear a somewhat familiarish voice just call out, "Governor and entourage, gates open!" And without even needing to stop, by the time you reach the gates open, and one of the wardens just offers a single nod towards you, Dorian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's going to wave back to 7432.
Excellent. It's here, where relatively early in the morning you step into Coinflow. The district is, as usual, much nicer, busy, but a calmer busy than the frantic crowds of Market Row and lower streets. Wagons here are typically pulled by indentured servants from some of the merchants, or you would see the occasional horse or other domestic beast of burden. Some of the more exotic ones would be larger reptilian-looking critters. Now again, these are things you've seen before. There aren't many of them, but with it being the early morning to Coinflow and people getting all of their goods in and set up for the day, it's a little more noticeable. On top of the fact that you yourself will be, no doubt, expecting some sort of beast of burden to pull your carriage. Any thoughts on this as you're making your way? Or anything anyone wishes to know?
I'm guessing it doesn't have fur. Does it have scales, by any chance?
Oh, is this a question to the DM?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
Could be anything.
I thought you were at first saying that towards Vanya, since she had like fur on her collar and like and on her dress.
No. He's been giggling about it all day, so.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Jacqueline did make her dress, so.
Could literally be anything.
Yeah, if you could do me a quick favor, I need to DM something to Reza. If you could just talk amongst yourselves for a brief moment.
Well, this doesn't feel quite right, but he's looking at his arm, just all the finery, and suppose we might have to get used to it, eh?
Maybe. But on the upside, it is a lot easier to get through that gate nowadays when we're going through with you. Starting to get some pull.
Well, some of the guards recognize me, which will be double-edged if I don't manage to pull this together the way I expect to. But I have to make good on it.
I mean, it's the first time I've seen the guards actually like anyone, so... You're doing something, Red Dorian.
I think it's more that they are interested in having it better where they're stationed when they're forced out there. I'm not under the impression that they get to choose much of what they do unless they have some type of big rank. They just get put wherever they may fall.
Oh, well.
And I dare say the gates to the slums is not a plum job.
No. Even them, the ones that get stationed at the far reaches, they've got plenty of coin in their pockets, though. At the point it makes everything else out there look trivial.
Oh, well.
Excepting certain enterprises, of course.
Yeah, of course.
An abundance of coin does open a lot of doors these days.
Lots of coin for, so much coin. It's not like they can eat it. There's only so much growing outside the city. Where do you think all these posh people get their repast from? Ports, food only goes so far.
The arms trade seems to be booming in the city.
Well, I suppose you could eat daggers if you really wish, but
Maybe they have their own terrace garden.
but where?
Between the ports, the road, and an abundance of cash, I'm sure they can get pretty much whatever they wish. And the upper echelons don't seem to care for the same foods as we.
Well, there is that. Just, the further up you go, the fewer there will be, etc. But just something I was thinking about.
Do you think do they have tunnels in the underneath? Are they growing things down there that can't be seen?
Quite possibly. The city below is cavernous. It's monstrously huge.
Who would grow things underground, though? That's just crazy.
It's
lunacy.
It's at this moment where you've made your way through the streets of Coinflow and reach the exterior of Jacqueline's shop. And the first thing to catch your eye would be the sight of Jacqueline stood pinching the bridge of her nose with Reza next to her. Reza, are you dressed at this point, or are you still in your usual attire?
Reza is dressed. But she looks over the rest of the party first and says, "Well, aren't you all a fine-looking gaggle?"
Vanya's gonna approach Jacqueline and say, I would have hoped you would have bathed her before you got her ready. Why are you still clenching your nose? Does she smell?
Jacqueline shakes her head and just waves a hand towards you, Reza.
Reza is dressed to perfection. She's not dirty at all. You see she's wearing sort of like a, it's like a blue taffeta silk walking suit. Think of like almost Gothic Victorian in style. And it has a little bit of a bustle, which is a cleverly concealed pocket for her to keep the bag of holding with her and within reach. And she's got all her normal stuff with her tucked in the bag of holding in her bustle. it kind of flares out a little bit at the hips, and then like a very fitted jacket with double rows of buttons that are kind of carved into like roses. And then they're also covered with like you know how you get like a covered button that's like embossed silk that's got like a embossed velvet that's got like a pattern and still and it matches the color of the taffeta perfectly. And then that goes up to a neckline that's like she has a very high neckline, and then flowing out of the neckline is black silk that seems like vines and thorns is like the theme of the drapery. And then her sleeves are very fitted, but then widen out just a little bit at the wrists, and she also has that same black lace at her wrists. And then with the flare out of her bodice has some black lace edging on it as well, and it flows down into the blue silk taffeta skirt that hovers just above the pavement, because you do not let your clothes touch the ground, otherwise they will get filthy. And you can't quite tell, but the skirt of her walking suit is actually very cleverly disguised split skirt, so it's like she's wearing very voluminous pants, but it looks like a dress. And she's wearing black kitten-heeled, they're actually knee-length boots, but you can only see like the tips of the toes, and they're like slightly pointy, but it's incredibly fine fabric, simple but elegant, and she's got like a little fascinator on her head at a jaunty angle with a little bit of black lace around the edge too.
Of course you are.
Yeah. Yeah, she looks like a proper fucking noble.
Yeah.
And her makeup is done to perfection. Her hair is perfectly coiffed by Jacqueline. And she's just kind of chuckling to herself a little bit, and
No, Reza, it is not funny. It's not funny.
Don't get your dander up, Jacqueline.
Oh, no. Vanya, as you can see, my dearest, sweet darling, it's not Reza that's the issue. It's in the alley out back. That is where the current source of my problems lie.
Yes, well, you're all looking a bit peckish. Would you like to come in and have a cup of tea and some biscuits before we get going?
You just hear it from Jacqueline as she just rolls her eyes, turns her head, and storms into the shop.
Don't get your feathers in a ruff. And Vanya's
Vanya's
just kind of giggling to herself.
Vanya's looking a little bit like quizzical, but slightly concerned because she's not liking this budding friendship between Reza and Jacqueline. She's just slightly jealous.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, the rest of you, I would say, follow Jacqueline and Reza into the shop.
Sure, why not?
As you step inside, the floral aroma in Jacqueline's shop immediately assails your nostrils. Not unpleasant, but it's just what you come to expect from her establishment. And Jacqueline herself just plods over to the counter and almost in a heap just drops onto the chair, exhaling. So there has been a problem-ish with the beast of burden for your carriage.
Well,
In what way?
how do you normally subdue it?
I don't know. I put in a request at an associate of mine over at the pit, and he said this was the best thing that he had to make an entrance.
Well,
What kind of entrance?
I don't think it's human flesh that would satisfy it, because those two, I mean, it's mold them up pretty well.
More.
and didn't seem to get any less angry.
It depends. Which one are we talking about? The one that was hoisted up in the air and then pulled apart by 3 of the damn things, or the other one who was just used almost like a wet flesh club against the walls of the alley?
I'm lost. What are we?
Oh, yes. Come.
There's been a minor complication with our transportation.
You've got a couple of moments to have a chat between you as you begin to make your way into the back. It's almost like a large warehouse behind Jacqueline's stall. It's not wide by any means, but it's very long, and it would take you, a minute or so just to make your way through the piles of fabrics and other orders, clothing, and the odd piece of, I wouldn't say machinery, but fabrication items required for her to make her garments. So, questions to Reza, by all means.
I would caution you all to stand back a bit. Its wingspan is quite substantial, and
Its wingspan?
Is it a bird?
well,
Is it a dragon?
no, it's not a dragon, but it does have feathers. It's actually quite. I think it would actually be quite lovely if it weren't so
Violent?
aggressive and had fewer heads.
Heads?
Is it a
Plural?
hydra with wings?
Oh, no. Oh, it's too good. It's too good. Jacqueline, should I tell them?
It's at this moment you begin to hear the muffled shouts from outside as you're approaching the back door, and you hear this gruff voice shout, "All right, we've got some of the straps around its wings. Pull it tight, pull it tight." There's a brief moment of silence before and screaming. As you open the door, you are all witness to this 5-headed, 9-10 foot tall goose.
Goose. Okay.
It is a bird.
Vanya,
Is it though?
you see the multitude of heads at this point have got like leather straps around the beaks that have been pulled into a single line, allowing for steering. The last 2 individuals from the pit are in the process of wrapping leather straps around its wings to keep them together as this giant 5-headed goose is just throwing itself around the alley. Vanya, you actually know what this is. You've read this in a book from the nurse.
Nice.
So whilst you all react to that, I'm going to DM Vanya some details.
Beast of burden indeed.
It's more of a burden right now. Yes, it's. I was surprised at first, but now I just find it oddly humorous.
We will certainly make an entrance. Probably won't get invited back, but we'll definitely be making an entrance.
Cypher looks over to Jacqueline and goes, "Who was your friend in the pit again? And are you sure they're your friend?"
Look, it was the only thing he had available at the time that would stand out in, or at least make you fit in with the upper part of the city.
Oh, this'll make us fit in. Wonderful.
Yes, the 5-headed gooses are all the rage these days.
All right, Vanya. Rather than DM you, I'm gonna. Can you roll me a nature check, a history check, and an arcana check, please, with advantage.
Holy shit. Okay, hold on.
So nature,
A nature check?
but all of these with
history
advantage. Never
Oh,
mind.
shit. Hold
That's
on, let me
fine.
reroll
Nope,
that.
nature's fine. You've nailed that one.
Okay.
Arcana, yeah.
History
Nailed that one.
and Arcana.
You've nailed them all. Okay, so in regards to the nature, you've read about this thing. Maybe not this one in particular, but you know this thing is called a Gazdra. Gazdra are vicious animals, very vicious, and usually kept by hags. Most Gazdra look like geese with 3 heads, and their 3 brains make them hard to affect with, any sort of controlling ability. You can't blind them, you can't charm them. The
Go ahead,
reason, no. The history behind this is that typically Gazdras are required for making either black pigments, black paints, black inks, oils used in a lot of hag abilities, hag spells, contracts. These are or were once geese. To create one, you basically take a goose egg, place it in an enchanted bowl, and bathe in the blood of a youngling.
Say it. No, okay.
Okay.
A young sacrifice. The younger the better. The egg is then left in the dark for around about 48 hours in this enchanted bowl. After then, a Gazdra hatches from the egg. The giant ones, though, you can create these giant Gazdra by feeding 7 newborn infants, painting the creature's feathers black using the pigment made from its eggs, and then leaving it for, again, another week or 2, and it will then basically mutate into this giant creature.
Wow.
There's only one place this perhaps could have come from.
The nurse 100% made this for somebody, right?
Unless there's another powerful hag in the city,
Yeah.
the society have to make their coins somehow. But
Jacqueline, do you know the origin of where this came from?
no, and all I know is that it came from the pit. What's this? The Beast Master man? What was his? She starts clicking her fingers.
Oh, fuck, what was his name?
Can I remember his name?
You guys know I can't.
I cannot.
Let me check my notes. I'm going to go back a little bit.
While
What?
you're doing that,
Mhm.
would a potion of suggestion work on this thing?
No. So
Because it's
from
not
flatheads.
being charmed.
from a they are immune to. Oh man, I've just closed the damn thing down.
Oh.
It's all right. Let me bring it back up. But yeah, I'll get back to that. Any other questions whilst I'm searching for that one?
Would I be able to identify it?
Same again. Roll me a nature, a history, and arcana check, please, Garrett.
Hold.
Vanya.
Nature.
They are immune to being blinded, charmed, deafened, frightened, stunned, or knocked unconscious.
I think you're right in the nature there, like. Yep.
So,
Yeah,
a potion that would be considered okay, because
Charm.
that is charm. I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm thinking
It's
about.
alright. You would know, Garrett, about that they are hag-born. They are from hags. You wouldn't know anything about their eggs, and you certainly wouldn't
That's
know
all I
anything.
need to know.
You wouldn't know anything about the giant 5-headed version of them.
But I know it's a hag related thing.
It's absolutely, yeah. This is a
Yeah.
creature that is usually kept by hags, but normally they've only got like 2 or 3 heads.
Cool.
Jacqueline, can I keep this when we're done with it?
If you're willing to pay the man, then I possibly, but
Keep it where?
Maybe in the cages.
Well, we've got a bigger problem at hand in that, you see the gentlemen here from the pit who have been trying to manage the beast, are struggling to calm it down and hitch it to the carriage. So we have to solve that problem before we address any others, really. And she smothers another giggle.
Well, I'm not gonna be much help with that since it's not really gonna listen to me. Maybe.
You know, never know. Maybe give it a rousing speech about how it can be the best beast of burden it can be.
I will have to do it 5
And Garrett's going to
times.
move round to Vanya's side and whisper into her ear. It was created of your sort. Why don't you try and calm it? It should recognize you.
Yes. I was thinking of using my mage spells, but maybe you're right. Maybe it can smell me. Maybe it'll instantly, like, what's the word? Imprint on me? Is that right?
It's at that moment you'll just hear Jacqueline just click her fingers together and shout, "Ah, the handler, Augustus. Yes, that's the one. Bald man, eye patch, cuts, scars across him."
Ah, we know the one.
Yeah, that's he's it's on loan from him at the moment. So if you and Jacqueline just cast this glance towards the giant goose, and if you really want this thing, then he would be the one to speak with.
Garrett, I really want it.
Bear in mind,
I mean,
again, just to reiterate, it's roughly 9-10 feet tall. Wingspan's probably going to be somewhere like 15 to 20 feet. It's big. It's very big.
Garrett, I really want it.
Not under my roof. I know where it came from.
But the section that I would want to keep it in technically wouldn't be under a roof. Would that be okay?
Can Reza hear any of this conversation?
I would imagine so. You're all in the alley.
What if I keep it in my cottage? What if it won't be alive for very long? Can I have it?
You can have a sample of it if it's already dead.
It's at that moment where you would just hear from behind one of the assistants, one of the pit's assistants, just shout, "Oh, get that class back on, get that class back," followed by, "I need everyone to make me a DC 14 wisdom saving throw, please," as this honk begins to reach a ear-splitting volume. Oh no, Garrett.
That's definitely show 19 there.
Vanya,
Well, as this thing's currently screeching out, honking away, Garrett, you're the only person this really affects, and it's probably not so much that you're frightened of it, but just the sounds this thing's making is inhuman, unpleasant to your ears, that causes you to just shriek back from it.
Vanya.
Hmm?
Rosa walks up close to her. Get it under control. That is the most important thing right now. And she sort of pushes her towards it.
At this moment, Vanya, she's like, okay, she feels like she got a yes from Garrett in so many words. So she is going to cast Prestidigitation, where there's a wind like behind her that's gonna waft her smell towards the goose. And let me go ahead and throw that up for you. And then she's gonna put out both hands and she's gonna say, harness the power of your inner dragon, goose, and soar above the clouds of doubt. Come to me, embrace me as your owner, 'cause I will keep you.
What did you roll on the nature? 19. Garrett rolled high on that as well. Okay, so roll me an animal handling check, please, Vanya.
Oh, shit.
And it's also at this moment where Garrett, Vanya, you would both realise that if this thing can understand any language... In fact, no, I'm going to do this slightly differently. You would hear one of the attendants... One managed to cover his ears in time as the honk rang out so he wasn't scared. The other guy, basically, his eyes rolled back in his head. He hit the dirt. And you just see this last guy stood in front of the Gazdra shouting a single word. Who here speaks Sylvan?
Yarp.
The word he's speaking is stop. And he's just repeating it over and over again while pointing a finger. Backing away slowly, but he's repeating the word for stop in Sylvan.
It's a bad Sylvan as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's heavily accented. It's like a command word that's been perhaps passed down by the handlers over God knows how long. But yeah, it's terribly pronounced. But Vanna, you do gain its attention. 3 of the 5 heads turn to look at you, and you can see beneath the leather masks that are covering their beaks that it's just trying to honk at you. You just hear these muffled...
She's gonna say, ooh, and just kind of inch forward, but just very, very slowly.
The 3 heads lower themselves to you, Vanya.
Is it a lower, like, an acceptance? And
Yeah.
I'm kind of thinking like the whole Harry Potter with the hippogriff.
Yeah. Three of the heads are doing that. They're bowing in subservience towards you. The other 2 are looking at this attendant who's shouting this Sylvan word at them, and he's managed to at the last minute just get the leather cap over its beak so it can't honk again.
Reza is going to step a bit behind Vanya and just call out to the attendant, "You just stop. Your accent is terrible." And she'll say to the Gazdra and Sylvan, "She is your mistress. Obey her. stop fighting.
The other two heads swirl round to look at you, Reza, and then they fix their beady black little eyes on Vanya before also joining the other three heads in bowing. And for a brief moment, calm now sets in to the back alley.
Wasn't so hard now, was it?
Tell it my name, Reza.
Reza just says in Sylvan, your mother's name is Vanya.
No, that's...
You can't understand me.
It.
Oh.
You don't speak Sylvan.
All you hear is blah 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 Vanya.
But I heard Vanya.
Mm-hmm.
Reza, my name is the Happy Healer.
I think we just need to keep it simple in this scenario.
It's gotta know who its mother goose is.
So Reza says, your mother is also called the Happy Healer by some. She will take care of you and feed you.
Its heads
And
just start to
suckle
turn
you.
away and start looking round the alley. And at that moment, I'm going to call a quick break.
Yay.
Told you. I'm going to meme it up.
A goose.
A giant
I can
hag
hear how
goose.
pleased you are with yourself.
I am. It's a giant hag goose. And, yeah.
Also, good job.
Thank you. I hope to see it in combat at some point because this thing's fucking evil. All right. We'll be right back for a refill and a pee. Cheers there, does. All right. Won't be a second, folks. I'm back.
Welcome back.
Welcome
So-
back.
Yeah. Gazdra are extremely protective of their home and attack anyone who trespasses. Conveniently, they are carnivores who can strip a human of flesh in a day, so there's not much mess. And the giant Gazdra are grown when a coven used their powers to grow a regular Gazdra to an enormous size. These things can have up to 7 heads and can decimate a small village if provoked.
Wonderful.
Once every 2 months, Gazdra lay 2d4 eggs. These eggs never hatch and are inedible by humanoids, though hags find them delicious. However, the yolks of Gazdra eggs are the deepest black and can be used to make fine pigments. Each intact egg sells for quite a considerable amount of coin, and those proficient with alchemist supplies or paint supplies can basically turn it into a usable pigment of magical origin. So, who needs a a goose that lays a golden egg when you can just have a 5-headed murder machine that lays black eggs?
All fun games.
The temperament of a goose.
With a temperament.
And the temperament of a goose, yeah.
Back.
Welcome back. All right. So, with the Gazdra eventually calming down, it allows the last 2 attendants to begin shackling the thing up to Jacqueline's carriage.
Can I ask you a question really quick?
Of course you
Um, since it did kind of respond to me,
can.
would I know that it was indeed the nurse that created it since we're part of the same coven and that's the reason why it responded to me, or does it respond to all hags?
It would... Yeah, I would probably say it would respond to you because... it would have, you would have a familiar magical essence to the nurse. So there, yeah, you would understand that, there is a link there. This thing's got, the nurse's magic written all over it, and you're probably the most familiar person with sniffing her out. So yeah.
Perfect.
So yeah, not just any hag, just the coven that created, the magical power that created it, and due to the fact that your magic is now very similar to the nurse's, it will be difficult for it to tell either of you two apart.
Perfect. Vanya's gonna... Is Reza back yet?
No.
Am I... Are we... Have we started, or am I just prematurely...
No, go for it.
Okay.
Go for it.
So since Garrett speaks Sylvan also, she's gonna lean to Garrett. Garrett, can you tell it to listen to me and to be calm and to only act when I tell it to? And maybe give it a word to act that I could use as well. So in the event that you or Reza are indisposed, that myself, Dorian, and Cypher could use as well to attack.
Dorian's gonna just look over at Reza and lean in and be like, how do you say stop and go in Sylvan?
Cypher's just stood off to one side and says, stop and go in Sylvan.
Reza
shit.
tosses a shady look over her shoulder and says, yeah, that's how you say it.
Okay, well, and then there you have it. That's all you need to know for now, yes?
Yes, the thing will only understand, and so you'll have to command it as such. So I repeat what she says to it in the most beautiful Sylvan you've ever heard. It's just like poetry. Doing the most mundane thing.
As you say go, flap, 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 it begins to set off down the alley.
It is stupid, though.
It is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And I call out, stop, like a ringing bell.
It stops.
So is go the attack word too?
You don't need an attack word, Vanya. We just need it to get us where we're going. We can deal with that later.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, in the event that something happens and we needed it to attack, and now we don't have that word.
If we want it to attack, all we have to do is probably leave it unsupervised for a very short amount of time.
If
Not
we're in
my
a
baby.
position where we needed to attack, things have probably gone horribly, horribly wrong, and that's the least of our concerns.
Dorian is going to see like how they were trying to hitch this thing to the cart.
Mhm.
And is the cart like a basic wooden cart, or is it more like a
No,
carriage?
no, no.
Is it fancy?
It's quite a fancy carriage. Enough to seat 6 people. It's double doors with a like a central pew. For so actually no, with the central pew, it could probably seat about 8 people in total if you're all scrunched up. Thick metal wheels. The colour's very similar to Jacqueline's store. It's a deep crimson
So it's
red.
like her carriage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
gotcha. Okay. He's going to look at one of the handlers there that have now probably been freed up because this thing is no longer trying to murder them.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to look at the carriage and them, and he's going to gesture over, like try to basically see if they can line the carriage up with where the goose is, so that way they don't have to try to maneuver the goose back and deal with that entire thing.
Absolutely. One of the men is a slightly older gentleman, unkept hair, similar, a bit gruff. You can tell he's come from a gladiatorial background. He steps up, looks over. Yeah. It's what you want us to push the old. We can do that if it means that we don't have to go near the front of that fucking thing.
Yep. Yeah, Dorian's going to help them. Like, they are there as an excuse for doing this without drawing suspicion to how strong he is. That's basically it. They're just an assist.
Excellent.
But he's going to try to move the thing up behind the goose so they can attach it and get everything secure, because he's trying to get things moving along here.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it doesn't take long at all. As you move the carriage up, the two remaining attendants. I mean, granted, you would see just off to the side the crumpled bodies with various large bite marks, beak marks. One of them's got his throat ripped out. The other one's missing a giant gash in his chest and his shoulder where he's just been torn apart. But yeah, it doesn't take you long to push the wagon in for the attendants to hitch it to the Gazdra and get you all ready for setting out.
All right, he's going to look at the two attendants. Either of you know how to... Well, seems like you only know how to get this thing here. He's going to look around, considering who's going to, like, tell this thing. Bonnie, it looks like you're sitting up front.
Cypher's gonna jump up with red shotgun.
And, yeah. He's going to go around to the side and open up the door for the carriage.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like a door that swings open and then there's like a step up you have
Yes.
to like step in?
Yeah. It's your stereotypical late Renaissance medieval-esque, isekai fantasy style carriage.
All right, understood. Good to go. I don't know, just the way that Nova Stoya is, like, didn't know if to expect like that or if it was going to be more like Fifo Goes West type of carriage, you know?
No. This one at the moment is just, she's. It's a basic carriage. Still pleasant, nice, well made, but for all intents and purposes, just a basic carriage. It's nothing overly fancy. You won't get looked down for riding it, but there will no doubt be other people with much fancier carriages further in the city.
Yeah, that's to be expected. Well,
Reza has been pulling on black lace gloves that match the rest of the lace on her outfit and holds a hand out for someone to hand her into the carriage.
Let me assist you, my lady.
Thank you, my lord.
Well, look. Dorian's gonna look at the bodies to the side and everything, and just hold the door open from the outside so people can climb in without having to worry about it swinging in on them.
Vanya's gonna climb in and sit in the front, and as she's waiting for everybody to get into the carriage, she's going to start casting prestidigitation to clean the goose up, and is going to be
Excellent.
petting it at the same time.
What are you doing? You're gonna have to sit up front to tell this thing just do what it needs to do.
I am, and I'm gonna
If
caress
you're in the
it.
carriage, you're not gonna be able to reach through. This is a closed carriage.
It's alright, Cypher's sitting up front.
Think of it like, you know, the Wild West
Oh,
wagons where you sit
okay.
on the
Yeah,
the
yeah,
front
yeah.
with the reins. You're basically, with the reins of a giant goose.
Okay.
Yeah. Like
Oh,
I've got, is the castle far? It's that type of thing. Like you have to like
Mm.
lean out to see the driver and everything.
My bad. I thought maybe there was a way to get to the front through the carriage, but it doesn't seem very big in there, does it? Okay, so she's gonna step back down and then step up to the side to get up to the front and start cleaning it and occasionally petting it and telling it sweet things.
So Dorian is going to go up to the front as well after everybody's in the back, and he'll shut the door. He's going to sit in the middle of the seat and get the reins, and so Cypher and Vanya will be on either side
Okay.
to be able to tell this thing to stop or go. And he's got the reins more of like, obviously this thing can do whatever it wants. It's very powerful, but he's got the reins there to kind of like direct
Steer
it a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Smart. I was hoping you were there. Oh yeah, just Vanya and Cypher with the reins. This is going to be great.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Foiled the DM's plot. All right. So with everyone ready, Jacqueline had just call out. So, don't mind the. You two just sort this out. I'll pay the handler whatever fee for clearing up. But safe journey, all of you. Try and bring my carriage back in one piece. I would hate to have to try and get another one at the minute. Something about metal being scarce for large projects. But Vanya, we have a date for this, remember? Don't you forget.
No, it's gonna be a glorious one too because I'm super excited about my goose. So I'll make it worth your while for sure.
Oh, I'm sure you will, darling. I am sure you will. All right, well, ta-ta for now.
While they're talking, Dorian's gonna like let off the reins a little bit so the goose is like gets the best he can probably do is probably releasing slack on, like giving slack is go forward, pulling back is stopping. So he's just gonna try to stop at the intersections and try to tell the goose to check the sides because it's got 5 heads. So he wants to see if the goose will actually like swing its heads back and forth and like look around and see what's around it.
Yeah,
but
I'm absolutely. I'm not gonna ask for a roll for that. This thing does seem to be trained for this sort of affair. It does, as you approach a junction, two heads look in opposite directions. One looks forward, and the last two almost like a periscope, just look left, right constantly. It's quite entertaining to watch, but the training is certainly there for it.
Yeah, this thing would probably be like it probably is the kind of thing where it's its instinct for like stalking something through the streets or finding things. Yeah, this thing's a nightmare fuel.
Yeah, nothing would be able to get away from it. There is no hiding from a Gazdra. So yeah, with that, the wheels in motion, the Gazdra at the front, you begin to roll through coin flow. There are a few incidents as you begin to make your way down the streets. At times, some of the heads, if they see another carriage, they will try and peck out towards it. But luckily, due to the chains on the lower part of the neck and the thick leather masks over the beak, it doesn't cause any damage. But you would hear oh, keep your fucking bird under control, you, as you drive on by.
Just the angriest chocobo ever.
It really is. So let's bring up the map of Nova Stoya, shall we?
Sure.
We've got quite the distance to travel. So we're
doing some sightseeing.
doing some sightseeing. We are currently round about here in Coinflow. You've been making your way up towards this place here, and this place is known as the Silver Canal Pass. Coinflow, at this point, the architecture here is very familiar to you all. It's white brick buildings, lots of flourishes, brass, red lanterns, and as you begin to make your way past the Merchants Guild's headquarters, the building itself is immense. It's easily 7 or 8 stories tall, and behind that, the large wall that leads to the docks for the solely used by the Merchant Guild. A couple of the Merchant Guard would give you guys a wide berth as you pass. Many people see a Gazdra and know not to get in its way. Is there anything particular you wish to know about the Merchant Guild's headquarters since you're currently passing?
Is it busy?
It is. It is. There are a multitude of wagons going to and fro from outside the main gates.
Have they bolstered the guard?
Yes. There is a multitude of squads that are positioned around the outer courtyard to the Merchant Guild's headquarters, and you would notice in the past you'd probably see 5, 6 of the Merchant Guards in a squad, whereas now it seems that they've bolstered it to about 10, and there's always a guard squad in view of another guard squad, at least in the main part of Coinflow.
Do we sense any kind of protective magic?
I mean, it's Coinflow, so there would be the odd feeling of magic all around, be it from the lanterns or from various stalls or shops that sell magical items. As for like a big protective dome, yeah, nothing like that at all.
Yep.
Would we notice any of those little wooden tubes flying towards?
Ooh. Roll me a perception check, Garrett.
Oh, I know. Cool.
You notice fuck all. No, maybe not because, they don't seem to be as frequent as you may have expected. So during your trip past the Merchants Guild headquarters, you don't see any flying.
Emergency use only.
All right.
Dorian's going to open up the little window into the inside and say, could someone check and make sure we know that they control a lot of this area. Can you remind me exactly where we're heading to?
Magister District, right?
Indeed. If anyone stops us, we have this letter. It should let us through. Well, it should open all doors, to be fair.
So, the actual instructions on the letter, it doesn't give you a specific place. Just a street name and what you expect or assume to be a house number.
All right.
During... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it looks like we're going to have to go through the temple district to get there most directly. So I guess that's what we'll do.
Yeah, so the quickest way would no doubt be over the Silver Canal Pass into the a little bit of the Lantern District, head north into Temple, and then down to following the main road to the Magister District.
Yeah, so we'll go through the Temple District, and we're going to avoid the cathedral, that big open area. We're just going to go around this way.
Yeah, so
As they're...
so go on.
So, I was just saying, as they're leaving Coin Flow, Reza is... She is sitting on the inside with her back to the front of the carriage so that she has a view outside the back window of the carriage. And while she's sitting there looking like a leisurely aristocrat who doesn't care about looking out windows, she is keeping an eagle eye out on the back to see if they are being followed or if she can detect that they are being followed at all throughout the whole journey.
Okay. Roll me a perception check, please, Reza. A 9. There's nothing obvious. There's no groups, no other carriages, no wagons, nothing that seems to draw your immediate attention. Granted, you are a red carriage being pulled along by a giant Gazdra. People will stop and turn to look, purely based on the fact that, a Gazdra as a beast of burden is rare. People have perhaps seen them before in the pits, but pulling a carriage along is novel. So, with that said, let's bring us to the next part of our journey. As you reach the water's edge, a large bridge extends over the river to the opposite side, to the opposite shore, that being the Lantern District. This large bridge has buildings that line both sides and is known as the Silver Canal Pass. It's the single most well-defended point of entry from the outer city into the city proper. There is a queue. Most of the people heading into the Lantern District seem to be other merchants or vendors, those from the Merchant Guild, moving wares into the Lantern District and perhaps beyond. Where you would normally expect there to be a few wardens, this is not the case. There's a lot of wardens. The walls are lined with easily, just with a quick count, 12 to 15 wardens, all of them with muskets over shoulder. Outside the front of the gate itself that leads just behind to a drawbridge, you can easily see another 20, 30 wardens all stood in formation guarding. And currently going through the two lines of carriages over this drawbridge seems to be two gentlemen in long black robes who are also flanked on either side by wardens. You've got to roughly, judging by how fast the queue's moving, 10-15 minutes before you are processed to be allowed into the district.
But it's certainly impressive.
Are these the ones approaching the carriage?
Absolutely, yes.
He's going, Dorian, with his hand, he's going to take both the reins in one hand, and with the other hand, he's going to just kind of gesture towards the heads and, like, sweep away, like, Watch yourself. It has a foul attitude.
As the wardens approach, you would hear a slight chuckle from one of them. Not the first time we've seen one of these beasts pass through here. With that, the robed individual eventually approaches, looks over the Gazdra with a somewhat disapproving glare before turning his attention towards you, Dorian, and glancing over Cypher and Vanya. Welcome. State your business, intentions over the canal, Lantern District, or beyond?
Beyond.
Beyond. First
We're heading
visit?
to the Magisters. First visit.
I see. One moment. You'll see the man step back, extend a hand, and start to mutter a few words of enchantment. Vanya, Cypher, even you, Dorian, would feel the detect magic spell just wash over you.
Interesting.
Now, anything you wish to declare?
I start banging on the roof. What is the hold up?
Anything to declare?
Oh, just show him this and be done with it.
Thorn will get the letter and. This is the person who requests, and he's going to put a little accent on there, like it's not really a request. And he's going to show the man the letter.
As he snatches the letter from your grasp, Dorian, he'll glance over it. And formal meeting. He pauses for a moment, looks up at you, looks back at the note, back up at you. Why on earth are you in this line, you fool, if you have a pass? Now, go, get... guards, get that wagon in front to move. These must pass immediately. They are on their mission from the Vulpescu. Do not hinder their progress any farther. You understand me? In fact, you there, you... He'll point to a couple of the guards to the side. I need two of you to offer us assistance and guides for moving through. Any other carriages or any issues, you shift them out of the way. Do you understand me? And with that, one of the guards nods, and you are then briefly flanked by two wardens as they begin to usher some of the wagons out of the way.
Rez is just gonna say inside the carriage, finally a reliable subordinate.
Wherever we go, whatever we do from now on, this is how we travel.
I'm sorry for the delay, my lord and lady.
Best speed. And I tap the roof again and settle back down in my chair.
Okay, well, we'll push through the traffic, trying to keep the Gazdra from getting too close to anyone who's like exposed, just because.
Roll me, no, you've said it now. Roll me an animal handling check.
To be fair, though, with a warden escort, no one's getting in the way.
No, no.
Pretty good.
Just as
pretty good.
Just as you pull the Gazdra out from the queue of carriages, one of the heads just tries to lash out at a merchant who's sat on his wagon in front of you, leaning out to the right hand side to get a better view of what's going on behind him. And it's at that moment where you're just coming round and then one of the Gazdra heads lashes out towards him. What do you do, Dorian?
The rein that is attached to that head, like that side, he's just going to slowly bring it in. So is just not quite able to reach him. But it ends up snapping its beak shut within a few inches of this man's face, just giving him the fright of his life.
Yeah, he just squeals as he leaps back into the seat, and immediately the warden at the side of you just points out towards the merchant. Back on your fucking chair, you twat! And with that, the journey continues. You reach the wooden drawbridge. At this point, as you begin to cross it, you would see further ahead on the Silver Canal Pass that it's not just a single drawbridge. It seems to be 4, maybe even 5 bridges that line the canal. That allows a lot of the larger trade ships to pass through. But the river is busy. There is a multitude of smaller carts, well, not carts, smaller tugs, rowboats, and trawlers that are ferrying goods up and down the river. A lot of them, you can see at this point, are coming from the Merchant Guild's dock into the main bay of Novostoya. And it would also be at this point where, glancing to your left, more towards the open waters, you would see in the central bay a huge black castle rising out of the waves, spires that almost tower above the entire city. And to the northeast, in the direction where you're going towards the Magister District, through the fog, it would almost look like there is a bluish, whitish object hovering just above the Magister's District, like a moon. But it's obviously not the moon. It's something below the cloud that's offering light to the district below.
So like a false perpetual moonlight.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Some sort of object that's suspended above the district to provide light.
Is that all it does? Can I sense anything else from it?
I mean, Arcana check. This distance, you don't feel any effects. Again, you can't make it out exactly what it is due to the haze and the fog in the distance, but for all intents and purposes, it just seems to be a mockery of the moon, perhaps put up either to provide light for the district or who knows? Who knows at this point? You're a little too far away, but you don't feel anything else. No magical emanations in regards to control or necrotic energies or anything like that.
My, how the other half live?
Less half, more just the sliver at the top, I think.
And whilst I just hide these, you would also see, as you begin to reach the opposite side of the Silver Canal Pass bridge, what can only be described as ruins rising up from the centre of the Temple District. Reza, Cypher.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Both of you roll me a history check, please. DC 10. This is something that you both may have... Now that you are in plain view of the... Cypher, you don't know. You're inside the cart staring at... In fact, why don't you... You're no idea. You're not looking that way. Why? What's caught your attention, Cypher?
The moon. I'm trying to figure out what it is. the fake moon. I'm like, oh, that's weird. It's pretty cool. I like that.
As for you, Reza, you're glancing out at the skyline of the Temple District, and you see that what you assume to be the ruins of the Vosantra Cathedral. But the silhouette that it paints against the sky or at least certain parts of it, seem familiar. Very familiar. And a thought crosses your mind that you've seen something similar beneath the city. A large building that rose to the cave roof of the city below.
Hmm. Do I know how long the cathedral has been in ruins?
It's longer than you've been alive.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a mix of old ruins, and there seems to be newer parts that have been built onto it over the years and then left to ruin, and other pieces added and destroyed. So it's a mishmash of various types of architecture, but there is a certain point, the highest point, that its silhouette paints a familiar sight to you.
Okay.
One of the Gazra heads at this point got bored of walking and is no doubt sat on your lap, Vanya. You gave it a little bit too much attention, so one of the heads is now cocked completely behind it, resting its beak on your lap.
And she's just stroking. She's stroking it. And just kind of, oh, you're such a good boy. Yeah, you're such a good boy. And she's decided that she's going to, when she gets back with it, that she's going to name every head. But not yet. She's got to think of the names and sense their personalities. And also, she's like, well, if Garrett won't let me keep it there, she'll keep it at the sisterhood to keep it alive.
All right. So, as you reach the opposite side of the Silver Canal Pass, the two wardens step ahead of the carriage, speak to the guards at the gate, and you just breeze right through. A few more wagons move to one side. This time, the wagons on the other side are empty of goods, mostly returning merchants or couriers, labourers, moving products into the Lantern District. And it's here where the two original guards offer you, Dorian, a nod and begin to walk back to the other side of the bridge, and two new guards take their positions.
Alright.
Believe you said orders were to move you towards the Magister District. Would that be correct, my lord?
That would be correct.
Very well.
Yeah.
May I recommend moving through the Temple District rather than heading south through Lantern? There's a few issues at the moment on some of the roads, an overturned cart.
Alright. Well, we'll take your advice then on this and just go up that way.
Very good, my lord. Do you know exactly where you're going, or do you wish for he'll turn his helmet to look at the other warden. Or do you wish for a escort?
I think that if we head up that way, we'll see the gate on the other side soon enough. Just past probably that and point at the silhouette of the temple by the cathedral.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yep.
Is the guard telling the truth about the Lantern District?
Roll me an insight check. Seems to be. There's no quivering in his voice. It's pretty much a very matter of fact. There is a overturned cart. So yeah. Do you continue?
Yeah, we'll continue. Keep an eye out for people up there. It looks like there might be a lot of open space around the temple area. I don't want to be go too close to the temple, but near obviously that's a big plaza, but we'll go around the outside edge of the plaza.
Around the outside.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. So, as you turn hard left, making your way through another gatehouse that leads the Lantern District into the Temple District, once again, the similar process of showing the pass gives you priority access through the gates. Eventually, you reach the Temple District. Here, whilst coin flow felt calmer than you're used to, this place is, one could almost say, it almost feels like a ghost town. There are people who meander their way through the streets, but many of them don't seem to talk to each other. It's just very businesslike, professional almost. A lot of the individuals here are dressed in robes. There's no unifying presence, but this is not the hustle and bustle of a commercial quarter of the city. You pass a few small cafes, coffee shops, sure, let's say coffee shops. Tea houses. Go on.
Would you get a sense of those that are in there of maybe the demeanor that they're acting towards each other? So if one is dressed a certain way, that one is maybe higher ranking than the others?
Yeah, you would certainly be able to see a lot of that through the Temple District. There would be an individual maybe with two more behind them, following in either a guarding pose or subservient. The architecture of the Temple District is old. It feels like an old city. Certain parts seem to mimic architecture on the Vasanthra Cathedral. There's a lot of gargoyles, of stone faces, of sculptures on the awnings of buildings, a lot of archways, columns, pillars. The vast majority of the larger buildings here do seem to be religious in nature, or perhaps at one point in their life they may have been religious in nature, but that's something, Cypher, that you would probably pick up more than others.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But now they're bastardized and used for all sorts of
things. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah.
Do any of the buildings have old religious markings on them or anything?
No, there will be no signifying imagery that you've seen through the through the tomes of the coroner. Everything's been stripped away. You get the impression that perhaps at one point, some of the buildings here may have been part of the city below, or at least the top end. And I would say that the early thing that Reza saw with the architecture of the Vasanthra Cathedral, Cypher, you now would begin to look at that and see similar architectural designs to the coroner's chamber. Any questions about the Temple District, since we're currently making our way through the streets here?
Do we notice any undead walking about? Yeah, what is the ratio to living people to people that aren't?
So, you would see that beneath the occasional cloak of the individuals walking, they are naught but skeletons. Pure white bleached skeletons. Not everyone, but there is a good amount. Some of the individuals who are walking with companions, these robed individuals, are skeletal beneath the clothing. Not only that, though, there would be a few other things that you all would notice. And that's with the patrols of wardens here.
Did you say there are skeletons walking around?
There are skeletons. Bleached white skeletons. You don't see
As
them.
kind of like
They are concealed. Indentured servants, yes.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yes. And again, it's only the occasional one you see as a glimpse beneath these long cloaks that have been draped over them. Now, the wardens aren't in large squads. You would only see about 4 wardens per squad, but on either side of these warden patrols, you would see 2 roughly 8-foot tall bronze golems. Certain red tubes protrude out of their backs and into their joints, and slung over their shoulder is a mace that's also roughly the same height as them. It's 8 feet long. Bits of steam pump out from some of the joints. Now, Reza, for some reason, in this district, while it's not uncontrollable, you do have this continual sense of iron in your mouth, this taste of iron and almost drooling. But it's not uncontrollable, but it's for the first time in a long time, it's noticeable towards you.
She's got she's pulled a black silk handkerchief out and is kind of covering her nose and mouth, like a fancy person would if like a smell was bothering them, just to kind of like. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. There's the taste of iron in the air here. And it's
Where are we? I'm so sorry. Where are we on the map?
On the map, where this would happen. Let me bring us all to the map. You said you were sticking towards the outer ring of the temple district.
Yeah.
So you didn't go past the, you went round. So this would be by this point around about this sort of area.
Getting towards the bloodworks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm starting to. Okay.
Yeah. So it's not a continual taste. It's almost like it wafts over the district, and every now and again you just find yourself just ooh.
Like when the Krispy Kreme donuts are being made and you can smell the icing in the air.
Yes, exactly that.
Yeah. Got it.
Well, again, there's a multitude of smaller rivers or canals that run through the temple district, and each bridge has a group of wardens and these large bronze bloodwork golems standing guard, but none of them stop you. At this point, it almost feels like the wardens don't even need to see any permits now. You are in the city itself. You obviously belong here. Why do they need to check?
Alright. I think we're going to end up at this gate here.
Yeah.
And from there, we'll try to go into the Magister District.
Okay. So before we depart the Temple District, because again, trying to world build in such a short amount of time is difficult. It's easier for me to, rather than just continually spiel at you, do you have any other questions or anything else that you wish to know about the Temple District while we're here?
The only thing that occurs to me is it's called the Temple District, and there is the big cathedral, but like, are we seeing anything that like looks like people actually participating in religious actions, like praying, chanting, anything like that?
Not in the slightest. Do you want to roll me a history check? Because you've been around a while, Dorian. They may have some understanding of why.
That's good. Sheets.
So it's a holdover. No one knows why it's called the Temple District. Apart from the fact that this is perhaps the oldest part of Nova Stoya, and therefore perhaps the name is just a holdover from what it used to be many years back. And
understood.
The name just stuck.
The name just stuck. Yeah. Yes. This, as I say, due to the architecture there, this is the oldest part of Nova Stoya, but it's old, but it's certainly well maintained.
All right, so this is the oldest place. So the closest to like when the city below was, not the city below. So just, musing thoughts going through here. It's, if there is any place that would have like the most connections, like actual physical connections, it would probably be around here. He's thinking just, the most secret pathways and things like that. So it's relatively calm up here, but there might actually be things below our feet moving around, or
Is the architecture, does it look like the old architecture from the city below, or is it like most of the buildings are like newly built?
The vast majority of the buildings are newly built.
Okay.
It's just, the cathedral itself has certain parts that are ruins that have been built on, built around or upon, giving you the impression that certain parts of the cathedral may indeed reach down, or if you think of it the other way, certain parts from the city below may be protruding upwards.
And everything else is made in its image.
Correct.
Okay.
So, before we step into the Magister District, shall we call a last refill? Tea break?
Sure.
Oh, this is nice. We get to expand on the world. Not just the slums. We've got crazy Gothic ruins. What's Magister going to be like? Oh, we'll find out in a moment. Good, I'm glad there's. Also, Steel, if you are still around, my dude, this is the first chance. Thank you for that 67-month Tier 3 resub, you mad bastard. Ad break starts in a minute anyway, so that's perfect timing, folks. So yeah, I'm going to refill and we'll be right back. Hot.
And I'm back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Raybon, thank you for the beers, my dude. I appreciate it. 100 of your finest bits. Oh. Mmm. Welcome back. So, quick thoughts on Temple.
It's snazzy. Shame we didn't have any of the boys from Chronicles with us. They could have pointed out exactly what those things were. They're well acquainted with them.
What, the big bronze-looking thing.
Yeah.
Temple's basically quite a nice posh place, potential portal to hell in it.
Yeah. All right. Are we all back, or do we still need a brief moment? Adverts are still running for another 47 seconds, so who knows? We'll give it that. Oh, right. Last sip. So nice. Oh, good. Thanks, Yeti.
Back.
Welcome back. Cool. So, let's get weird, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
Well, maybe not weird, but certainly different.
You mean the 5-headed giant goose wasn't weird? Okay.
Ah. So just before we carry on, I did say I was giggling all day at the fact that they were having a giant goose as a beast of burden, and Garrett and Cypher were like, "Oh, is it going to be some some blood horse thing with metal parts?" I'm like, "No, it's that's the normal option." You're getting a goose.
Question.
Go for it.
Does it still lay eggs? And does it lay like 5 eggs at a time with 5 heads?
No. So once, just to reiterate, once every 2 months, it lays 2d4 eggs.
2d4 eggs.
Yes. These eggs never hatch and are inedible by humans, though hags find them delicious.
Will that sustain Vanya when she gets older?
No, they're just delicious. They're tasty.
It's an egg.
How many eggs can you eat? I think we had this discussion earlier.
Oh my gosh, this is like perfect that we were having that egg conversation earlier today. Just what a coincidence.
It is a coincidence.
Damn you, Solution.
It's, what can I say? So for those, just before we started the stream, we were having a brief conversation of just how many eggs, we as people could eat. And funny enough, it turned into an excellent section into today's session. Oh, puns!
And he had already had this plan too, so it's like,
oh, I can see the future.
I'm surprised you weren't. Yeah, I'm surprised you weren't giggling during the whole time we were talking about it.
I was. All right. So, with that said, you reach the end of the road at the Temple District before you, another drawbridge over one of the many canals that find their way here in the Temple District. This bridge, though, is guarded by these bronze golems, these bloodwork automatons. But the wardens here, well, they don't seem as armoured as before. This bridge leads directly into the Magister District, and on the other side of the canal, just behind the archway that's So as you're looking at the archway, either side there's roughly a 15 to 20 foot wall on either side that surrounds the entire temple district. So it is difficult to look into the Magister district from where you are. But what you can see is this blue glowing orb directly in front of High Seat district, illuminating both Forlorn and the Magister districts in this bluish hued light. Cypher, now being so close to it, you pretty much guarantee there is no other effect other than illumination.
It's a vanity giant light bulb.
It is a giant vanity bulb, just to provide some semblance of moonlight or normality, perhaps. Those who live in these districts are in a higher, in a better world than the rest of the city. The rest of the city can live in the dark. They are here in these districts. They stand in the light. Granted, it's not sunlight because it would burn a lot of them, but that's beside the point. Damn it! We raid every time. I swear to God, I need to raid you back one day. I will get there.
It's not gonna happen.
It's not. God damn it! Thank you very much. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. I'm just going to have to end early one stream and we're just going to have to go over there. Welcome in. We're world building today. We're showing some new sites of new parts of the city that we've never been to. So, where was I? Magister District. Oh, yes. There would be in the Magister District, though, a slight haze that hangs over some of the spires of the buildings. And whilst the Temple District has tall buildings, 4, 5, 6 stories, the Magister District on a whole other level. Almost every building that you can see that peeks over the walls is easily 7 or more stories high, all of them ending in the typical Gothic spired points that you're used to. But there are a few other things that take your note away from the typical architecture. There seems to be the occasional tube-looking implements, pipes that poke out of some buildings, and little dots of light that hang from one building, extend over the gaps to the others. Welcome to
a black screen.
The Magister District. As the Gazdra pulling the carriage enters the Magister District, the Bloodwork automatons standing silent vigil on either side of the road are flanked by black-cloaked wardens. Their intricate masks come down into a point that gives them this somewhat oppressive air, and whilst they are not as armoured as most wardens you've met, these guys seem to be on a whole other level. These guys seem to be built for speed. There's no bulky armour, and every single carriage is watched by these faceless masks as it passes through. Uninterrupted, unimpeded. But in front of you, the Magister District the streets are wide, easily able to fit 3, 4 carriages. The bridges that span between some buildings are built not just with stonework, but brass, tin, iron. You would see where the lanterns are this typical red-hued colour from the magical crystals, that they also have these small crystals hung from pieces of rope between buildings that illuminates the entire district. Up above, smoke pours from stacks of chimneys and occasional iron or copper piping. On top of that, there are a lot of buildings that have clock faces. Timekeeping, something completely novel to the rest of the city. And it's also here where you start to notice that some of the people themselves have the odd hand, maybe brass or gold in colour. The occasional beast of burden pulling some wagons is not a horse, but almost like a skeleton of a horse made of iron.
Couldn't have that in the slums. They'd end up on blocks.
It's busy.
Well,
It's busy here, but it's not dirty. There's no beggars. People are going about their lives quite happily. All of them in quite fine clothing. In fact, the vast majority here, as the cart begins to make its way through the streets, seem to be in attire not far off what you're wearing. All of the dresses that the ladies wear are flowery, flouncy. There's a lot of individuals in black suits or other garish garments that stand out. This is a world completely unlike anything that you have experienced in the rest of Nova Stoya.
Question.
Go on.
Is any of this familiar to Cypher?
Yes. To an extent. The constant thrum of machines, of gears turning, of steam pouring out of vents is a familiar
Sensation.
sight. Yes, is indeed a very familiar sensation to you, Cypher.
Okay.
Would Reza's family have ever ventured here on business to like deliver something or anything like that, or
Probably not.
no?
No, this
Okay.
is the creme de la creme. This is the top of the city. Dorian, you would have memories of this place as well. Is there anything you wish to know about the Magister District?
I'm guessing that this place has changed since the last time he would have passed through.
It has, quite drastically.
Yeah. Now that we're dealing with steampunk vampires, I don't think that the steampunk was
Was a
really
thing? No.
a thing. Yeah.
Now, granted, it's not everywhere. You know, it still has the architecture similar to the rest of Nova Stoya. It's just certain elements have now started to creep in.
Yeah. Well, weirdly enough, he's gonna look around and just like the people here, like, have their demeanors changed? Do they seem to be like relatively happy considering?
Compared to when you remember, yes.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's weird because they have like this almost like somewhat normal kind of a aspect to them compared to everywhere else. Plus the steampunk stuff. Basically all he's going to be doing is just trying to navigate through the streets, and yeah, he's going to be trying to get through and head towards the street that we're looking for. Hopefully whatever's there stands out enough we can find it.
Okay. So, whilst you're making your way down the main carriageway, you take a left into one of these slightly smaller streets, but still wide enough for two carriages to pass side by side. Anybody else have any questions or queries regarding the Magister District? I guess that's a no.
Well, I'm thinking. Sorry,
It's all right.
thinking and munching. Are there vampires walking around freely here?
Whilst it's difficult to say yes, because you don't stand out as a vampire at first sight. You would certainly get the impression that if they were able to mingle in public, then yes, they would be able to here. There's no, obvious vampires in their vampiric form walking the streets. But for someone like yourself in fine clothing, being able to stroll down the street, absolutely, there is a almost a certainty that yes, there are most likely vampires amongst the populace here.
And is there any scents or smells that Reza would pick up going through these streets?
Yes, the constant taste of iron in the air, and a lot of the steam that's been pumped either through vents in the ground or from some of these tubes, these copper pipes coming from buildings, all have a very slight red tint to it. Whether that's due to the lanterns and casting light through the volumetrics, who knows? But there is certainly and everyone would realize this, there is a very metallic taste to the air here.
Frickin' pollution.
People pollution.
People pollution. Why do steampunk when you can do blood punk?
And you were just saying, like, we're getting a sense that that's coming from below through the ducting,
Yeah,
and not above. Okay.
no, from everywhere. There is a vast amount of steam being thrown out from pipes out of buildings. Most of the larger buildings, not the ones that are like tea houses or cafes or shops, but some of the larger buildings in the center of the Magister District are pumping out this metallic tasting steam, and there would be the odd grate in the ground that you could see steam rising from.
Okay, so you could get a sense of concentration coming from certain
Correct.
areas.
Yes, absolutely. Again, though, the rest of the architecture here is very similar to the Temple District, to the Lantern District, to Nova Stoya in general. It's very black brick, arches, gargoyles hanging from above, but there is certainly a sense of production, not so much production, what's the word I'm looking for? Progress here in Magister District. With the carriage making its way through the centre of the Magister District, you begin to head towards the street on the note. And it's here that the buildings slowly towards the outer edges of the Magister District begin to go smaller. The previous clockwork and steam-powered elements subside that to more stately homes. And it's here, following a road of rather intricate and imposing manners, that you see your destination. It's here where down the road you would see a 3-story manor. The front looks similar to the gatehouses that you've passed through no end of times on your journey here. A couple of spires protrude into the sky, and all of it lit with the familiar red lanterns. Stood outside is a single bronze automaton and nothing else. But at this point, I would say you're 80, 100 feet away as you're making your way down the main road. What's the plan, folks?
Dorian's going to knock on the port and just say, "Looks like we're almost there." Because, they can see to the sides and everything, but forward's a little bit of a trickier. So he's just going to try to get the carriage to navigate up that way, being mindful of anybody approaching, because, angry goose. And that's really it, just.
All right. The rest of you. Thoughts? In general, something.
Kinda, Cypher's kinda Sid's sitting in. He's getting that when you're trying to remember something, but you just can't quite put your finger on it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of half in his own head until Dorian speaks up and says, "Oh, we're nearly there," and he goes, "Oh, well, that's grand, isn't it? Do we see anybody?"
Just the single bronze automaton stood outside the main door in an open courtyard just in front of the manor.
I do have a question
Mhm.
from everything that, like all the cities and stuff
Yeah.
that we went through. Would we sense kind of like a connection going through those? So in the event that we needed to go back through, would there be some kind of common dressed individual or thing that we would see that's connected in each city that we would... Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
No.
like a common group in each city. So if we were to face something like here,
Mhm.
I guess I would
So-
have to see if these individuals are here
Yeah.
to see if like they would be in each one of the cities. So if we're trying to get back out,
I get what you mean. So you're
Yeah.
saying, is there anything similar to like the obvious like the Doctore or the Merchant Guard or certain
Yeah.
gangs identify themselves? Is that what you're angling for?
yes, in a weird way of putting it, yeah.
With it being your first time here, probably not. Just for the fact that you don't understand the political landscape here. You don't know what exactly to look out for. The vast majority of people do seem to be dressed in all manner of garments. You've seen women in dresses, you've seen women in trench coats, you've seen men dressed as jesters, you've seen men as women, you've seen pretty much the whole spectrum of clothing, especially as you've entered the Magister District. Nothing's really leapt out in regards to specific groups or anyone loitering around. Again, at the moment, this is a whole new world. It's like stepping back into the Piker District again, where you had no idea who was a friend and who was foe. The only constant would be the wardens. The only difference in the Magister District is the wardens here don't wear full plate armor. They wear cloaks with a large gold badge and faceless masks, and certainly give off an intimidating and professional air to them.
They're probably much more dangerous.
You've not heard any of them speak yet. That's one thing that you would have noticed, is that they've watched, they've seen, but they never spoke.
So Reza has been sitting in the carriage trying to maintain an outer demeanor of calm, but she's very nervous about being in this particular area, and as Dorian says that we're almost there, she kind of looks to Garrett and says, who are we for this conversation?
I believe we are us. There's no... They know who... what we do. We need some form of ally.
So, no Brewmaster and compatriots, we are us.
Garrett Blackthorn, proprietor of the Baron's Folly.
You know, probably 6 or 7 months ago, I toyed with the idea of calling myself Teresa Bloodthorn, but Blackthorn just sounds so much better. Would you mind terribly if I adopted that as my surname?
No, it's fine.
Thank you.
You're gonna hear Vanya overhear that and knock. Should we all adopt that surname? I mean, for this purposes, it could be permanent too. The benefactor too.
Vanya, I don't have one, which is why I asked. You do have one.
Oh. I just thought maybe we're just kind of...
One big happy family.
Yeah. I could hyphenate mine.
But Vanya Valentine has such a cachet about it. You wouldn't want to ruin that.
Well, I can only use it when I want to use it. I can, you know...
Reza has kind of stopped paying attention to her at this point, and she's back in her own head, kind of prepping mentally for the conversation.
I think now our individuality and our differences will make us more appealing. If they wanted people that all looked the same, sounded the same, acted the same, they'd deal with a doctore.
I didn't mean us all having the same surname would mean that we would all act the same. But I'll offer up mine if you want to take it, since Garrett just turned you down.
He didn't?
He just said we should all have individuality. Oh, you wouldn't be able to take mine either. You'd need to come up with something different. But you can use mine as a base.
Just focus on the goose, please.
Dorian, directly ahead as you approach, you begin to hear the sound of heavy bronze on stone as the automaton has turned its head, a single red lens, or this red glowing gem socket in your direction, and it's started to make its way over towards you all.
If it gets really close, he's gonna try to get the goose to stop by pulling back on the reins a little bit.
It takes 4 steps, readies the large 8-foot mace in its hand and just stands there ready. You would all hear...
I'll reach out the window.
Go on, Garrett.
I'll reach out the window with the letter inviting us, hoping it can read.
Well, with you say you're stopping the carriage, Dorian, or are you?
Well, if it's in front of us, yes. Like he's not gonna run into it with the carriage.
Yeah. So the way this looks, then, as you're heading up the road, it separates out from the road into a courtyard, enough space for a carriage to pull into, and the bloodwork automaton has stepped out into the parking area in front of the manor as you approach.
Okay. Well, then we'll stop in one of the spaces that seem like it's good for a carriage to be at.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you'll stop there.
You'll immediately see the door open as a woman wearing a white server's outfit steps out, her hands tucked into the sleeves as she approaches the automaton, speaks something with it. It then begins with a heavy thud and hiss to move itself out of a combat pose and start to return to its position in front of the door. And this soft voice would ring out to all of you. Messages from the road. I welcome you to Dame Vasari's residence. If you will, please. She motions a hand towards the door. I'm waiting for you all to disembark.
Could you say the name of the residence again, please? Sorry, I was crunching.
Dame Vasari.
Thank you. Rez is going to once again wait for somebody to hand her out of the carriage.
Yes. Well, the first thing that Dorian's going to do is he's going to try to see what there is for places to, get the goose to stay in one spot. Cypher, can you tell this thing to stay where it is? Just tell it to stay.
Okay. He'll go up to the 5 heads and he'll be clicking his fingers till all 5 heads are looking at him. Hey! Stay.
The Gazdra's heads all just laser focusing on your clicks, Cypher. And from the leather mass you just hear the balking of each head in response.
Does Vanya get a sense that they're going to listen, or does she need to suggest that we need to tie them up?
Roll me an animal handling check. I'm going to put it open. DC 10. It's pretty rudimentary. Oh, it could go either way. There are hitching posts nearby used for various beasts, and they're not wooden hitching posts. They are big brass things.
I would feel more comfortable with my newfound friends if we tied them up, because when we're not here, they seem to get a little unruly, so...
Dorian is going to hitch them to the brass, but by the harness, not by the individual heads, because,
Sure.
So it'll keep the body moored so that, at the very least, if it decides to get a little bit riled, it will at least not be able to go anywhere.
Perfect. All right. So it doesn't take too long for you to hitch the giant Gazdra to the post and make your way back to the rest of the group who are outside the main door at this point. You would, as you begin to approach the door, now get a glance, or at least the full view of this bloodwork automaton. Standing taller than all of you, it's a absolute behemoth of bronze. The smell would be that of just metal industry, blood. Whether that's from its creation or what it runs on, who knows, but you would now start to fully understand that this thing does run on blood. The couple of pipes that protrude from its back and the odd leak from a few of the bolts that hold this thing together drip a deep red viscous liquid.
Can I say any arcane runes or inscriptions or anything on it?
Roll me a Arcana check, if you don't mind. 19. Yes, you can. Though only briefly as you pass it by, and they are very fine. Not runes that seem to have been inscribed by hand. Along some of the joints, you would see on pieces of metal, it almost looks like someone had a stamp of some sort.
Like this was mass produced?
Potentially.
Or a maker's mark?
It's more like a stamp had been hammered onto the bronze. So not so much a maker's mark. They are arcane runes that are powering it, and yeah, perhaps it could well be a mass-produced thing.
Okay. I mean, we've seen enough of them on the way here for that to be an assumption, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and they look difficult. If the stature of this thing is anything to go by, in a straight up fight, you don't know how it would go.
I mean, I do.
You do.
Not well.
Spoiler alert. Should you ever have to fight this is the thing that Cypher cooked up during his one shot those many moons ago. But rather than just one that was dilapidated, there's now a lot more of them in full repair and use.
I'm sorry, not sorry.
Solution be like, you made this,
I made this.
Another story, Robocop.
Uh-huh. As for that, though, is with the doors open, you can peer into the interior of the manor, and, well, rather than fully describe it, I think it might just be easier to throw us in. With the doors wide open, this place is opulent to the max. A red carpet stretches from the door to the central stairwell that breaks off on a small landing up to the second floor. Various red crystals sit in chandeliers and holders dotted around the room. Artwork is on display on all the walls, and at the very far end, just above the staircase, is a small balcony, and just above that, the coat of arms. Dorian, familiar to you, this is the sign of House Vulpescu.
Alright. So Dorian's looking around because he's expecting there to be like a parlor or something like that.
The servant who's escorted you in motions off to the side, and there's an archway that leads to a small sitting room, a waiting area. And with a bow of a head, if you would all give us but a moment to prepare, the dame will see you shortly. Would anyone care for refreshments?
Tea would be lovely.
She begins to slowly nod. Anything else?
I'll take one as well, because Vanya wants to taste like what it tastes like from opulence, you know.
Yeah.
And about how long, time-wise, did it take us to navigate the entire city to get here?
Oh man, that's a question.
Bear in mind traffic at fucking every gate.
So, bear with me. Let me do some quick maths. So, tracing the actual route through.
Carried the 2.
You carry the 2, so it's roughly 7,500 feet you've travelled.
A little over a mile and a quarter.
Yeah, so a mile and a quarter on carriage with the traffic, probably about an hour and a half-ish.
Okay.
Maybe less, maybe, probably about, since you passed through the gates pretty quick, probably about an hour. Which is, considerable size. Alright, so with that and the tea, she looks towards you, Garrett. Refreshments, sir?
Nothing for me, thank you. I shall await your lady's pleasure.
Very well. If you would all excuse me. With a deep bow, she begins to make her way out of the room. Leaving you all to your own devices. There is very little movement. You don't hear the sound of footsteps. This is not a busy household, apart from the odd crackle of magical energies from the crystals and the lanterns. You could probably hear a pin drop in this place.
So no detection magic, no anti-magic fields, nothing. I can't feel anything like that.
Nope. You can certainly feel magic. There is certain...
Is it just like background magic
But
or
it is-
like shit like that?
Absolutely. It's like background noise to you. Nothing would really leap out in regards to your being watched or studied. But there's no guards inside, which is also, unusual. The house is eerily empty.
Any, like, old god statues or anything like that?
Good question.
Around?
Good question. But no, there isn't. The vast majority of the things on display, mostly just finery, things like chalices or other items that are just there purely for display. You would notice, though, that there is in the waiting room, just above a fireplace at the far end of the room, a plaque that has several military medals that have been put on display there, and underneath it a rather battered looking sword.
So is this like a reception parlor we're standing
Correct.
in now?
Yes, yeah.
So Rez is going to take her gloves off and just have a seat somewhere.
Would the sword be familiar to...
And do you want to read the plaque? That's not a problem if you want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically,
Just
the
gonna meander, be rude
Yeah.
in someone's house and kind of look through their stuff. Yeah.
absolutely. The words on the plaque just below the sword state Cordia Muriel Versari. For honour and valour for the court, you are presented the title of Baronetess. So, not a baron, Baronetess, or baronet, also known as a dame. But it seems that with the medals on display that she has perhaps fought for the court. And the date, well, there isn't one there. But she's certainly the owner of this household has some form of military background with the court and probably by extension, for you, Dorian, at least, under House Vulpescu. Doesn't take too long before the server returns. A silver tray in hand, 2 porcelain cups on plates that are placed in front of you, Reza, and then another one in a seat for Vanya to sit down at, followed with a small jar of cream, and last but not least, a little jar containing sugar cubes. The lady will be with you in but 5 or so minutes. She's just preparing the last few items on her agenda for the meeting. Her escort will be down momentarily to guide you up. Is there anything else you wish from me?
I think you have executed your duties quite well, and we appreciate it.
The servant bows deeply in thanks, and then turns 180 degrees on her heels and almost marches out. You'd hear the sound of footsteps on wood echo for a few moments before falling silent.
Reza's gonna chug her tea and then calmly set down the empty cup and saucer on the table.
I mean, granted, for tea, if you are a tea connoisseur, this is quality stuff. Absolute flavour sensation.
It's a banging brew.
It's a banging brew. Light. I mean, it kind of depends. For one such as I, a deep, well-stewed cup would be perfect. But no, this is quite light. Black tea, but with floral notes to it. Anyway,
Vanya has
sorry, go on, Vanya.
taken the entire little bowl of sugar cubes and has put it into hers to make it extra sweet, and didn't save any sugar cubes for Reza.
It's gone from tea to syrup.
Cypher looks at you both and he goes, I don't think that's how you're supposed to drink it. Either of you.
If not, why would they put it here? If not,
Just a hunch. But you didn't have to use all of the sugar.
I didn't want to be wasteful.
I am used to drinking tea without any embellishments, as we could not afford it when I was growing up. It was a rarity to have tea.
And I was taught the more sugar you consume, the more sweet you are.
That's not accurate, is it?
I'm incredibly sweet.
You begin to hear the sound of floorboards creaking and heavy footfalls on stairs as someone's beginning to make their way down towards you. It doesn't take long before a large black form almost eclipses the entrance to the reception room as you are met face to face with a 7-foot-tall werewolf. 2 swords sit in their back, cloak over their shoulder.
You are the ones from the road, yes? Come, the dame will see you now.
I elegantly stand.
Same.
Cypher never sat down. But as soon as he sees the werewolf, he kind of looks out the window at the moon and he goes, I get it now.
Excuse me. This hulking form begins to make his way, taking points up the stairwell.
Forgive me, sir. May I ask what you are called?
You may call me Casca.
Thank you.
Guard, escort to Dame Cordia Muriel Visari.
Thank you, Casca.
The werewolf nods as you make your way up the stairwell. It pushes a door open leading to another room, decorated very similar to the one you've just left. Lighting, goddammit.
Gotta stop blinking every time I
know.
go into a room.
There's a rasp on the door, and with it open, Casca calls out,
My lady, the road.
As you step into the room, it's warm. There's a fire roaring just off to the side, and a woman dressed in a black suit, a waistcoat with red embellishments, and her hair tied up behind her head in a bun, sits on a sofa with a small table in front of her and a multitude of documents in front. Ah, you must be the visitors, the messengers from the Silent Road. Please, come. Take a seat. We have much to discuss. Casca, the werewolf, just closes the door behind you all as you step in and steps to one side.
I can climb ahead and walk in.
Sorry, I follow him behind. But Cypher won't sit down. He's just gonna, when Garrett sits down, he's just gonna like stand to one side behind him.
Reza will. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Well, I was just gonna say Vanya will walk in, but would she notice like how young she is versus the awards that she has downstairs? Would it click with her?
Well, you've just told me that, so yes.
Okay. But she's gonna
Absolutely.
follow behind and follow behind Cypher.
Reza is close behind Garrett, and she'll sit down elegantly, I guess, on the sofa across from where Dame Visari is sitting.
Mm-hmm. Dorian?
Dorian will find himself a seat and just sit down. He's, not in his element, but make the best of things.
As you all sit down, Dame Vasari casts a brief glance over each of you, then down to her papers and back. Pray tell, the description of the man known as Telber does not fit any of those gathered here today. Would you care to explain why?
We are business partners with Telber.
Oh?
Yes, and he thought that this meeting would be better served between the two of us.
So you are not the Silent Road?
No. We are independent for the road, but we are partners in a certain endeavour.
You would see Corday just make a quick glance towards Casca as the brute of a werewolf just reaches down and rests their hands on the weapons. So, I've not heard of any deeds of Mr. Telber being put to the sword, so I assume you're not here to stick a blade in me. especially with you saying you are a business associate, partner.
Indeed, no.
No, we came to speak and glean information.
And carry any messages you deem worthy to be carried back to Telba and the road.
You see Cordelia just roll her eyes, lean back in her chair, sigh, and mutter a few words. My lady, it seems you were correct. As those words are spoken, you would see Cordelia's eyes roll back in her head. As
Do I detect magic when she's doing that?
you do. Anyone who's attuned to magic, so Vanya, you would, Cypher, you would, Reza, the only way of describing this to you would be your skin feels like it's being pricked. As for a brief moment, Cordelia, her eyes lock back, look at you all, and what expression? There was a nonchalant, bored expression on her face before. Now there is this wide, playful grin. Her eyes are sparkling as her entire manner just seems to have changed ever so slightly. Cordelia leans forward, resting her hands on her chin, this grin growing even wider. Well, so I was right. Fancy that. Oh, God, this... No, Cordelia, darling, this is not the look. Cordelia stands up. And casts Disguise Self. You would see the form of Cordelia begin to coalesce with magic around her. Her hair begins to fold back, the complexion going even paler, pulling taut against the bone. Cheeks rosed, and what was once a black, almost business-like noble suit begins to break apart and turn into a black, flowing robe. The grin remains on her face, and instead, now stood before you is an incredibly regal woman. And the last thing...
Cypher will bow.
Well, aren't you quick on the uptake? A pleasure to make your acquaintance. I am Countess Catalina Vulpescu. My, this was a turn that... Well, let's just say that... Oh, I've had my eye on all of you for a while. Baron's Folly? Yes, tell me I'm right.
You are correct, Countess.
Don't I know it? Oh, it's marvellous. God, look at you all in the flesh. So, she sits down, crosses her legs. Go on, Reza.
Any way we could get a pee break before we dive into this conversation?
Absolutely. If you want a quick pee break, I am happy with that.
At least I'm gonna be BRB.
Okay. So all I will say is that with that, the visage of Catalina Vulpescu sits down on the sofa, crosses her legs, rests her hands on top of her knee, and just grins at you all. And the most obvious thing would be that she is certainly not hiding who she is. Two fangs protrude from her canines down, and this is the look of a predator that's just found its new toy.
Also, completely above the table.
Yep.
She don't need that massive werewolf bodyguard. She's obviously an ancient fucking vampire. She can bench press a lot of us.
Every vampire needs their pet. No, it's not panic yet, Yeti. Not yet. Ah, dear me. Good times. Completely different tone to everything that we've done before, which for me as a DM has made a nice change.
Back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Oh, ad break as well. Perfect timing. Yeah, I know it's been another one of those sessions where it's mostly me fucking waffling on at you guys for world building. So I hope you've
Yeah,
enjoyed
but
it.
most of us have been just sat there locked in, like, what's that? What's this? Is that important? That's important. Why do you say that? What does that mean?
Prepare for code brown. Hands over the button, ready to go. Alright. Vanya, how long do you have left, roughly?
40 minutes.
Cool. Okay, yeah, we should be good. We should be good. Go on, Reza. Because I know you've got stuff you want to say. And she doesn't want to miss out.
Yes, so that's why she stopped it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, don't apologise. Alright, are we all good? Fuck it, we
Thank
ball. So, with this predatory gaze glancing over the table towards you, even Casca, the bodyguard, seems to have straightened up. She had a professional stance before. Casca, yes, she is indeed doesn't look it. Werewolves are werewolves at the end of the day. But Casca's body at this point has stiffened up. Whatever fur is visible has bristled. And
He's got his hackles up, has he?
yeah. Casca's well and truly stood at attention like a soldier. Obviously not understanding they don't need to be a guard at this moment in time.
So, Reza thinking in her head about what just happened. So, is it the same body, but another person is now in charge of it?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Okay.
Yep. That's the exact feeling that you got, and Cypher, Vanya, you would have been able to pick up that, yes, the consciousness of Catalina Vulpescu has assumed direct control of.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, she's assumed control of Dame Vasari, and yeah, looking down, she's like, ugh, make me look like me. Not that she needs to, she doesn't need to, but well.
But she's vain and fickle and she does what she wants.
So, Reza is going to say, bowing deeply from her seated position, she's going to say, we are honored our exploits have reached your ears.
Oh, honored. Oh, please don't. No, no. God, this is not the court, my dear. This is not the court. You don't have to grovel on the ground like some disgusting little worm. Whilst it is entertaining, I will say, but no. We're just here to have a little chat, a little chinwag, are we not? There's so many interesting little things that you've all been up to. Now, pray tell me, I know that you... well, it's... I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, how does she know? How does she know? Well, would you like me to spell it out? Or, in fact, no, let's play a guessing game. Don't you love games? You all love games, don't you?
You could act it out.
I could, or I could have you do it. That'd be much more entertaining. So, how would I know what you've done? What little breadcrumbs have you left on the ground that the odd birds would be able to pick up?
You're talking to me? I have a bag of pastries.
She doesn't mean literally.
A hand extends over the table towards you, Vanya.
Oh, you want one? And she pulls one out and gives it to her.
Thank you, my dear. Now, she takes a bite out of it, looks at it for a moment. Passable. So, what have you done that would put you under my sight?
Nothing that you didn't help us cover up.
So, from the beginning, this little drink of yours. Yes, the old bloodshot. Who's... Go on, you've got to tell me who invented that.
And I just raise a hand.
Oh, Master Garrett. The brewmaster. I see. Well, I must say, your little product has got quite the rave reviews. Now, granted, I've not had the chance to sample it myself. Getting things that far up is proving difficult, which was part of the reason why I was wanting to reach out to the road, you see. And Dame Vasari said that, oh yes, it would be the road that came today, but I knew more. I knew better. Of course I did. And you know how I know that you and the road are hand in hand?
I have no idea.
Of course you don't. Of course you don't. That's the beautiful thing about it. You don't have a clue. I do. Hence why you're sat here. But it wouldn't be any fun for me to tell you now why I know. No, I want to let you just go away for a little while, have a think about it, have a pastry, and... anyway, beside the point. You have taken this open invitation to have a chat. You obviously have something you want, or if not, that's something that you're looking to sell, to give. Why are you here?
Two parts, really. One, I was intrigued why we would be invited to, and I put my arms to the sides, all of this.
Yes, I'm ever so sorry that I invited you to the dregs of society, but, well, if I managed to get you any further up, it would have caused problems, so I apologize again for this shithole, I believe is the choice words that you folks in the slums would say this is.
We will enjoy it. Those. I say with a twinkle in my eye. And the other pies, other members of your court taking an interest in almost fighting amongst themselves over our little corner of the city.
Oh.
That, frankly, Telbo was too chicken shit to take the meeting himself.
Understandable. Now, you say some of the court are starting to meddle in affairs outside of the walls. Governor Dorian, perhaps, would that be the Morettis and the Sandevils by any chance?
That's one way to describe it. Could be more the Morettis through the Merchant Guild, looking to line their pockets, and with the Baron... Not Baron... Philippe Sandoval. Less...
Yeah.
Sure, you might be aware, but it's less the Sandovals and more someone using the Sandoval as a puppet.
Yes, the black-coated Doctor.
Morbus Doctore.
Yes.
Indeed, madam.
Yes. So, funny thing about those, they were so, a couple of months back, or maybe a little longer now, I can't remember when, but there was an item that was smuggled out of the High Seat district. It belonged to, they're dead, gone and buried, so it's abandoned trash, really. But anyway, this item, the Doctore were so desperate to get their hands on it. They were mewing about something. I can't remember, some form of creature or entity that they were wanting to put a stop to, was it? Anyway, didn't hear much from them. Something occurred. Anything you would like to talk about? No, didn't think so. You weren't involved, were you? Or were you? You were. My, how interesting. No. Oh, hold that thought. So you were the ones who... so that's where it all began. Huh.
I'm afraid the pace of your intellect far exceeds mine, my lady. Would you mind elucidating for the rest of us your rapid train of thought?
Oh, darling, I'm so sorry. No, it doesn't matter. It's just a footnote, but it would explain why the Doctore back. They wanted something to stop a creature that had, or some form of illness that had snuck into their midst, and they were looking for something to block that out. But alas, they didn't get what they were wanting. And I now understand why I stepped away from that. Oh. Do you know them? No. Wait, you? She points a finger towards you, Reza. Oh, you're... Get on your knees. For a brief moment, Reza, you feel a slight compulsion, but nothing that would force you to do it. You know, you can easily shake it off.
Reza shivers slightly, and looking her in the eye the whole time, she stands up from the couch, steps to the side, and kneels down.
No.
Like so?
No. You are not... Oh, interesting. Dangerous, though. Not for me. Maybe I could make this work, but for the others... Oh, sweetheart, you... I'd watch your back.
Every day, every moment of every day.
You are not sired by... and the visage of... Catalina just motioned to herself.
No, ma'am.
No.
I am an accident. of
No,
fate.
no. You are no accident, my dear. You are pure. Oh, the others will hate you. Oh, they find out, they will... they will hate you. Oh, this is good. This is really good. And, you... She points a finger towards you, Vanya. You know them. You're just like her, but different. You all know them. You know who I'm talking about. Yes. Squirreling underground. They stick to their side of the wall. We stick to ours.
But a description.
The hag.
Oh. I'm different.
No, sweetheart, you're a hag. Ugh. Next is... She'll look at you, Cypher, and just shudder in disgust. Oh, really, another one? Another one?
That's a shame. I thought I'd be just like you, and Cypher will shape change into her.
Ooh! Ooh!
Reza's sitting back on the sofa
Ooh.
now, and she just like grins.
Catalina
Evilly.
immediately shoots up, steps around the table, and begins to look over you, Cypher. Roll me a deception check, please. This is not to deceive her. This is more of how good the disguise is. Pretty fucking good. You've got her.
Fucking good.
You've got her dimensions dialed down to a T. Oh God! Would you look at that? Oh, perfect. Is it perfect? Is it? Sure. Go on, Dorian.
Something about imitation and flattery, yes.
She completely blanks you for a moment. Cypher, you would just be subject to her grabbing hold of basically her own body and measuring it. Oh, yes. Interesting. Oh, beautiful. Be a dear, stay like that for a little while, but lose the face. I don't want to talk to myself.
As my lady wills. So now Cypher's just stood there in a chick's body with his face.
And you too. What can we say about you two? Master Garrett, I know very little of you, and as for... Well... She points her finger towards you, Dorian. The face... The body... is... Well, not what's inside. Interesting. You are all so very... unique. Unusual. Different. Topic at hand, though. Moretti's. Yes, I remember. Moretti, Sandoval. Sandoval's, Doctore. Something's currently in the process of making its way through their ranks and scrambling with their brains. I don't know all the details, but something that happened in Barak, it's expanded out. We've tried to murder the whole lot of them, but it's like maggots, they just keep coming back. Moretti's Merchant Guild, they are the same thing at the end of the day. The Merchant Guild is pretty much just the secret military arm of Moretti. If Moretti's want something and the coin flow folks can make some excuse, then they will do so. But why? Why do they want the slums? Why do they want the slums? She cocks a hand towards you all to answer.
It's definitely not for profit, because there's not enough money in the slums to be worth the effort.
Perhaps it is what is under the slums.
She clicks her fingers directly at you, Reza. Yes, and what is under the slums? I hear there is quite the lucrative little venue starting to turn a profit.
You mean our modest little entertainment venue?
I don't know. Is that what's down there?
Under the slums is a broad term, my lady.
The Doctore want free reign to do whatever it is they do. They get Sandoval in charge, then they can pretty much do whatever they want to the inhabitants, and whilst I'm not overly concerned with the slums or Sandovals, it's doing a disservice to the Sandovals would please me. That would be rather funny. No. Yes. All right. But the Morettis, what do they want? Something under the slums. What is under the slums, apart from your tiny little business? No, sewers, which means ways to move goods, which puts them in conflict with the road. Yes, the road move things not only by barge and on the waters, but through the sewers. The sewers connected to the waters, they can move things. If they can take over the Silent Road's operations, then, well, they stand to gain quite the windfall, do they not?
Depends entirely on how receptive the road's clientele are to a more formal unit replacing them.
Look, my dear, if the Moretti's got control, it doesn't matter what their business partners think. We are the court. We tell them. And they do. Or they die. Dorian?
The real question there would be, what would the Morettis be looking to deal with, and they would need to use the sewers if they have the court sanction?
Number 1, Bloodshot. This has been rather lucrative, as I am aware that your ties to the production prove. Do you know how much gold is being spent on this stuff? Especially up here in the, well, Magister District. Temple District's quite fluent with it as well.
I do hope it's quite a lot.
Oh, an entire bottle you're looking at anywhere from 10 gold to 20, depending on which label they've slapped on the thing. You think the labels are... Per bottle. It's mental.
This is no overt act, so do not take any thing. I'm just reaching into my jacket and I pull out a bottle of Bloodshot.
Master Garrett, if you wanted to harm me, then by all means, this body is not mine. You'll do nothing to me. In fact, did you prefer the body before, or do you prefer this one?
I prefer to know who I'm talking to. It was more for your bodyguard here. I didn't want complications.
Dog, get out. Kathleen just turns to you and grins as Casca steps out.
Mm-hmm. So I pull the bottle out. And I just hold it up to the light so the gold glints in the liquid.
Mm-hmm.
All this fuss over this little bottle. I just sit on the table and obviously I'm not taking it with me when
Yes, well, you know the Morettis, they... She'll scoop the bottle up as she's talking, hold it up and look over it. Anything for coin or power. So which then loops us back to the very first question. What do you all want? Why are you here? Why are we having this discussion? You came here with not just curiosity, surely. There is no doubt something you want from this. To get involved with the court. That's not a decision many take lightly.
Well, was somebody else going to talk?
No, go on. Go first.
Go ahead. You go first.
Everybody's got a lot to say.
Yeah. Raza kind of looks around the room for a moment and glances at Garrett and says, "You'll forgive us, my lady, but if the court is fighting over your home, you don't really have a choice but to get involved somehow."
Kathleen just continues looking around the rest of the group.
Dorian's going to glance over at Cypher.
Well, it was probably an inevitability.
Well, perhaps it's less we wish to get involved with the court and more members of the court or their agents are looking to get involved with us. The Morettis, and he sweeps a hand over towards Garrett, indicating the bottle he's holding. For my part, I have been looking at the situation from a more practical standpoint, trying to get things done properly for the people of the slums, who, by the way, even if they were to ever set foot in a place like this, you described as being the dregs of society, they would not know what to do with themselves. The slums are truly disparate, and to have those efforts not thwarted, but impeded by the Doctore puppeting about one of the Sandovals like a little marionette that they keep drugged up and unable to speak for himself. Meanwhile, the Morettis are there, chomping at the bit for their new coin to go on top of their already prodigious hoard that they have, like some... We could use a bit of... The court is the court. Their business is theirs. But our business is seeing to ourselves and our people. And he's going to look again around the room a little bit. What do you have against the Sandovals that would please you to upset them, even if it is just seeming that they have become puppets of some other entity?
Oh, you wish to know what I want. Well, I will tell you. Because, of course, there is always a bargain to be made and pacts to be struck, but now's not the time for me to answer you. No. You, my sunny dispositioned beauty. Finger points to you, Vanya. Why are you here? What do you want?
Well, I'm passionate about making a positive impact in the world, particularly in the area of healing the mind to do better. That's what I want.
Ah, yes. Your sisters. Of course. Oh, yes. It's you with the, And you'll just see Catalina just hoist her breast up briefly. Yes, yes. Stone statue.
They're a beacon of hope.
Oh, and what about you over there? My beautiful little mannequin. She point to you, Cypher.
Can I counter your question with a question?
She just rolls her hand out, giving you the impression of you're welcome to. I may not answer it yet, though.
Is she conscious?
The finger
Is she
points
aware?
back to her body.
Yeah.
Oh, no. No. Locked in a prison in her own mind. Sat there in naught but darkness whilst I flounce around. Sad and pathetic, really, but what can you do?
Make it better. That's why I'm here. Knowledge is power.
Oh, you are so like him, and it's infuriating, but interesting at the same time.
I shall pass my regards on to my
Oh,
master.
please don't. That decrepit old skeleton can stay in his fucking grave for all I care. What about you, though? There is a flash of just disgust and displeasure across her face for a brief moment before she turns back towards you, Reza.
What do I want? That's a good question. I'm not sure I have an answer for you yet, but at the very present time, the thing I'm most concerned about is survival.
So, I have heard your wants, your desires, and your needs, and you... My dears, why dream so small? Why dream so insignificantly small? The potential...
Anya raises her hand.
Go on, yeah. Yes, yes. Go on.
I don't dream small. I make big impacts.
Very well.
Just big pain in the ass, more like.
So, and at this, Catalina leans back into the chair, crosses her legs, looks over you all, and the fiendish grin returns to her lips. So, what you're wanting is not so much subservience to the court, but a sponsor.
That would be preferable.
Very well. Very well. I'm sure we can arrange that. I would be more than happy to be your sponsor, to see you right. Now, of course, there would be conditions, and there are a few small tasks that I would like completing, but don't worry. For the greater good, I'm sure they will align with your own intentions. let us discuss things then, shall we? And with that, Countess Catalina Vulpescu leans in close, the grin predator-like in nature, plain for you all to see. That's where we'll end it.
Boom.
Yeah. Good shit. Cheers for that, everyone.
Yeah.
Wally.
I love the Countess. She's exactly what I hoped she would be.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah. Pretty good point for us to end it on, I think. Gives you all chance to go over, think if there's any other things that you may want to tack on to this bargain. Things that, you know, you can be like, oh shit, I should have said this. We'll get a chance to again. So I didn't want to end today's session at the closing of that discussion. I wanted to leave it open-ended so you guys have got some time to process
What the fuck just happened?
And of course, you know, other thing, you'll no doubt think of something in the week ahead that you'll be like, oh shit, I want to do this, or I need to ask her this, or, you know, I want her to do this. So there we go. Episode 9 done. Any closing statements?
And on that bombshell. Good night, chat.
Good night, chat.
Good
Yeah.
night.
On all 4 pages of those notes, good night, chat.
And see you next time on Pariahs.
Oh, get muted. Boop. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm going to flick over to the end scene. We shall waffle briefly whilst I try and find someone to raid. But yeah. Oh. Yeti, thank you for the 7-month resub. Sneeze, thank you for the 30 bits and the giant pickle emoji. I love it. Lee, thank you for the 57 months. Steel with the 67-month tier 3. Mad lad, appreciated. Ravon throwing his bits at me, 100 of them. And Elm, thank you again with the raid. For those who stuck around, I hope you enjoyed the madness that today's session was. Yeti, it wasn't chaos. Maybe next time, who knows? But yeah, that's a lot of fucking lore drop this session. And Baptized, good to see you. Good to see you again. How are you? Yeah, I'm going to give everyone a week to process what the fuck just happened, and we'll close out this meeting next week. So, with that said, who is streaming? Let's put some different tunes on. This is a little slow. Boop. Alright, everyone, once again, thank you for joining us. I'm going to mute myself up, find someone to raid, show them some love, and I look forward to seeing you all next week for episode 10. Soon, Durs, soon. Plans are in motion. I need to get the world set, and we're getting there. They're taking their time, bloody players. Alright, see you all next week. Ta-ta for now.